Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Hall, Stanko, and a shot! Sits the line, gets it, trying to pump it back, ahead, lead, 2-3, Mitch, Carter, scores! Gordon puts it on the floor, he's in the paint, he dumped it home with two hands. A broken play turned good for Denver. Gordon has it, doesn't want to shoot. He brings it back out inside the arc. Throws it back off over to Joker. One-on-one with Zubac. Kick out three, Christian. Yeah! 2-possession game for Denver in overtime. 108 to 104.
Nembhard goes to work there. Goes away from the Turner screen. Takes it to the wing. Turner slides to the perimeter. And hits another three off the pass from Nembhard. Gives to Turner, three to shoot, step back, three, left edge, dagger, dagger. Turner hits his fourth three of the game. Milwaukee takes a timeout.
And the 2 to Suzuki, drilled in the air, deep left center. It's got a chance, gone. Seiya Suzuki. Cubs lead by a score of 5-1.
1-1 coming. Swinging a drive, high and deep, toward right, Judge at the wall, gone, gone. Jonathan Aranda does play the hero. A two-run homer in the 10th inning.
The 1-0 pitch, swinging a high fly into left field, Benintendi back at the track, at the wall, he catches green, and the Red Sox win it. Cousins delivers. Bregman scores, and Boston wins it 4-3.
Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. Thank you to Shane for playing the Boston highlight from Saturday, not yesterday. What's up, DB?
I'm good. We had a couple of doozies too, man. For all you lock, stock, 104-game Dodger winners out there, man. I don't know.
Well, if anything's going to hurt, it's going to be the fact that none of your pitchers can seem to stay healthy.
Yeah.
That's going to be a problem.
They've got to get those guys in the lab and see
something's going on.
Kind of what's going on structurally.
It's not great.
Or maybe they're mechanics, you know what I mean? But Friedman, he's got all those lab guys over there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did the Rays have a run? They had a little bit of a run of guys.
A lot of their pitchers got
getting hurt. So,
Now, a lot of them also got hurt early. So it would be either when they were minor leaguers, they get the Tommy John or whatever, or they would get
and then there would be the cheap fire sale, and everybody would fleece the Rays
later after they sold them all off. And it was like, hey, look how good this guy is. Just kidding. He's going to have Tommy John in a year and a half.
Yeah, but the thing about it is the Rays are one of those franchises where if they're on a guy or something, everybody's going to be on them too.
Yeah, they've got the reputation, so that's always nice. But
so go Rays.
Hasn't.
And by the way, did you see their comeback against the Yankees over the weekend?
No, I did not.
It was like 8-4, maybe going into the bottom of the ninth.
Yeah,
and they got 4 because, of course, Devin Williams is still kind of on the struggle bus, man. He can't, and he always has tough outings. Like it's never smooth sailing, even when he was with the Brew Crew.
When it's good.
And I didn't say that. He still could be good.
No, but I'm saying even when it's good, it's kind of bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he had some Jansen to him.
Yeah.
And then they ended up winning in extras on a walk-off. I think Lowe hit it, ding-dong, the witch is dead. But they're playing like in a park that is comparable to Papio South or Millard West.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Like it's nice, but it looks
like a high school field.
It looks like it's too small for what they want to do. It's
Yeah.
really not, but it's a nice little quaint, cozy.
Well, and you saw it creep up yesterday with Judge's home run, not a home run, over the foul pole that's too short.
So do you know he's minus already to win the MVP?
Is he?
Yeah.
Well, he's hitting like 390, isn't he?
Well, I mean, what are we like? We're a month in.
Yeah. It's a little aggressive.
Minus?
Listen, they must have had a ton of action on him. Like after he got off to the 6 homers in 7 games.
Yeah.
They probably got a ton of action on him. They're like, hey, we're going to take a bath here if we don't get this thing going in the other direction.
He said take a bath. Aren't you too old for baths?
Splish, splash. I will take
the last time you took a bath?
It's got to be.
Gotta keep watering the bamboo.
I mean,
What's up, Coach?
25, 30. I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how old am I? 37. Yeah, it's got to be 30 years.
It's
pretty
been
close.
a minute. I was trying to go through these things in my head about Saturday because you know how I don't like not knowing my schedule.
Mhm.
And so, does anybody really know what Saturday is going to look like?
So I have a theory.
Great. Let's hear it.
I think this is intentional.
Chaos?
Yeah. I think Coach Rule's doing this on purpose.
Do tell.
So, you know how
Do
he
tell.
likes to test people, right? Especially the people that work for him.
Sure.
Like, he likes to see what their limits are, see what they're capable of, put, like, stressors on them to see how they react.
I would be inclined to agree so far.
I think this is an experiment a little bit on his part, just to see how because he's got a lot of new people in a lot of different places, right? He's got a lot of people he hasn't really worked with before. He's never worked with Butler as a DC. He's never worked with Addison Williams. He's never worked with Braden. He hasn't really worked with Dana Holgerson to a huge degree. He hasn't really worked with Tequila Shorts at all. And then we haven't even gotten to like the admin staff, right?
Yeah.
So I think he's like, hey, let's run a little stress test on this thing, make it as chaotic as humanly possible, and see how people react when there's really nothing on the line. There's no TV cameras.
Yeah.
There's no actual game that you can win or lose. There's nothing on the line there, but this is the closest he can get to a game atmosphere. So I think maybe, I don't want to go all tinfoil hat on you a little bit, but from what we know of Rule and what he expects from his staff and, you know, doing coaches clinics where he's taking registrations up until basically the time the thing starts and whatever else, I think he likes to test his people a little bit.
He's testing me. That's for sure.
He's testing your patience.
Gosh. We got tours. We've got, I mean, is it a garage sale? Is it not a garage sale?
You know, it was hard.
Apparently there's a scrimmage.
Yeah.
Apparently
as of a couple of days ago.
Apparently
right?
some alums are going to do something. I don't know if anybody knows.
Still don't know what that is.
They're going to get you back there and return punts again.
No, not your boy. I mean, I'll catch that thing. I ain't going anywhere, though. I'll Santino Panico that thing all day long.
You're going to Panico that thing?
Yeah.
Hey, I got you. I got you, Coach.
Man got Panico. No, but, you know, it was cool, too, because I got a chance to talk to Rebecca Alec.
Oh, yeah. At the panel.
Yeah. Who, by the way.
How was that?
The panel it was fine.
Yeah. I watched a good chunk of it.
I think we streamed over 1,100.
Yeah, I think so.
And
I think it ended up being more than that because there was a ton on Facebook, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. It was about as much as I'm going to get out of Caleb about us, so that was fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I like her.
Rebecca Alec?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot in there. And one of my guys was like, man, you got to get her on the show sometime.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay. It seems like a good idea.
Yeah. She seems very insightful.
And so my favorite thing is
Yeah.
she's very secure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? At a young age, that's hard.
For sure.
She clearly understands who she is.
Because a lot of times when, especially at that age, and not limited to young people, because it certainly happens with older people as well.
Older people.
Looking at maybe some of the people up on our stage here today.
Hello, Coach Deion Sanders and Coach Phil Snow.
But a lot of times when somebody tries to come across as secure or sure of themselves, it's a red flag that they're super not.
Yeah.
And that's not the vibe you get from her. She seems very just settled in who she is.
Yeah. Is this a compliment? Okay, you ready?
Yep.
So the question was about Coach Snow and the new staff. It wasn't specifically Coach Snow. It was just new staff and stuff. And we got in the car. Because we were way south. I mean, we're a little bit south of Yankee Hill Road, which
At the Toyota dealership?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, for me, somebody that's fairly familiar with Lincoln.
You don't go down that way a lot?
It was that, what's that cartoon? It was a whole new world. I'm not even going to sing it. I know I was going to. Did you see that?
I know.
And I don't love my voice
Look
this
at that
morning.
self-control. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. Every now and again. I mean, it's where the magic happens, right?
We're out here, right?
We out here. Love when magic happens. So I'm thinking we're driving and kind of touring the city and whatever. And he's like, yeah, we were out here at the golf course and Coach Rule took us out here and it was during whatever, like fall camp. They wanted a break. I'm like, you guys went to the Yankee Hill Golf Club? Like, must be wrong. Anyway, we were just talking about the staff. I said, I really liked that answer. It was pretty insightful, comparing the personalities because he's a big Addison Williams guy too.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were talking about Coach Snow, and he goes, in typical Caleb fashion, he said, he's just really smart. Like he's kind of a technician, and he's really old school. I like his fundamentals, and man, I should have listened to you a long time ago.
So that's why you like the answer.
I clenched the steering wheel. I kind of looked. I was like, is that a compliment? Because when weren't you listening?
I was going to say, was it news to you that he hadn't been listening?
Yeah. I found myself tapping the brake a little bit. I was like,
pardon?
Woosah. I had to rub my own ears.
I was under the impression you'd been listening this whole time.
Is that a compliment?
I think backhanded. I think that's a backhanded compliment.
This dude's a cold shot.
Like, yeah, I'm complimenting you now, but kind of at the expense of earlier.
Ooh, shake my head.
Turns out you might have known what you were talking about.
You want the kicker?
What's that?
Can I just give you the kicker?
Yeah. Not Jack McAllister?
No. Shout out Jack McAllister. So we're talking about jersey numbers. Because I was with my mom a fair amount this week.
Yeah.
And she's not a huge fan of sharing numbers. Like she doesn't really understand how it works, right? You can't be super exclusive all the time. And she goes, are you sure he's going to wear 28? I said, yeah. I said, he likes it. And she's like, okay, like begrudgingly.
Yeah.
Now she can go like, I don't know, mate gear, order gear. I don't know. I don't think she crickets, but. So I asked him about his numbers. I was like, hey, grandma's asking. And dude goes, yeah. He goes, I'm still trying to kind of feel Jay Terry out. He's tough. He's got to be firm, got some knuckleheads. He's their head equipment guy. And he said, yeah, player X just got 21 last week. And I said, really? That's interesting. I feel like you would be higher in the pecking order. And he goes, yeah, I don't know. I mean, the number's cool and all. I'll check back with him in a couple weeks and see what's up. He ain't wearing that number.
No.
So I had to let myself off the hook emotionally. So what did I do? No pressure, man. It's okay. You don't have to wear that number. As I walk back into the bathroom and I want to punch him right in the face. That's how it goes down in the Benning household, man. I mean, this dude is wild.
Yeah.
He's just a trip.
You better punch him now, though, because he looks like he's getting big.
Yeah.
You may not win that fight much longer.
Yeah, it's just funny, too. He goes, he loves and it's weird because, it's kind of like his clique, right? I told you about he and Donovan.
Donovan.
And Van Poppel and Danny King. But, he's cool with Bauer. And he's like, they have to strategically plan how they use the recovery in the rehab facilities because he said it's a fine line. You got to take care of your body, man, but you don't want to be on that 6:30 report list. They start asking questions. I was like, smart man. But no, man, it was a cool weekend. Easter was quiet.
Yeah.
It was really quiet. I loved the weather yesterday.
It's a little chilly for me, but
Oh, man.
I would like if I've got my druthers, I'd like it a little warmer.
So what's ideal? 70 and sunny, or is that too cold?
No, I'm fine with 70. Like
I don't need to see 80 ever.
my ideal's a little warmer than that if I'm going to be outside for a long period of time. Like if I'm chilling.
What's wrong with what do you got against 70?
70's okay, but especially in Nebraska, if you got a little wind,
Is 80 the magic number?
I think it's probably somewhere between 78 and 80. I'm going to be outside.
Not to be.
I like to give it a range. I don't want to be too particular.
78 to 80.
A little bit of leeway there.
Yeah.
Depending on the wind.
Oh, 2 degrees.
Coming out of the north or south,
No, I thought the weather was fantastic.
There's too much rain for me.
Yeah, I was having to makeshift, do an Easter egg hunt impromptu.
Yeah. I'd have to worry about that.
Yeah, and I was out there in the rain.
Yeah.
My sprinkler system was on too. You should have seen your boy dodging water. If anybody was watching at 7 o'clock yesterday morning, I know I look like an idiot.
They would have thought you were practicing for the skills challenge.
I was just hoping not to do an ACL.
Just give them just pull a move on them.
I'm like, damn it. First of all, I was mad that they were on. I should have shut them off.
Yeah.
But it was a struggle, man.
Debacle.
No, it really was. I said, I'm gonna hide some of these in the front.
We're not gonna worry about these sprinklers back here.
Yeah. So then this little girl, we come back from service or whatever, and we were going to my nephew's, because that's where my mom wanted to celebrate her birthday and Easter, which she had like 4 birthday dinners. I mean, she's apparently living the good life.
I mean, you got to, right?
Well, we were here Friday.
Oh yeah, you brought her in, didn't you?
Yeah.
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 Well, and you went out on her actual birthday, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Then yesterday.
And then Friday. So that's only 3.
Bruh. So.
Just saying.
So Zoe wanted to do an Easter egg hunt for Brandon's little girl, Skylar. So I'm kind of paying attention. I'm kind of not. I'm really trying to binge this show.
Which one?
I don't know if you're going to like it. It's called Glass Dome.
I mean, probably not. We have very different taste in shows.
Yeah, so it's funny. My mom finally said something relatively negative about you.
What?
She goes, how does he watch television if all he ever wants to do is be happy?
So that's not entirely true.
I laughed. Well, that's the picture you paint.
That's the picture you paint.
Like Van Gogh?
Yeah.
More like Van Wint?
So I can.
Do you feel misrepresented?
I do. I do feel misrepresented. No,
Not quite Picasso, more like pick on you.
You've been hearing too many of these Nico puns out there. You think it's a good idea?
Apparently.
So it's a cool thing to do now, like a week late.
My bad.
No, I'll watch some stressful stuff or some dramatic stuff. I don't like to be overly burdened by things that stress me out unnecessarily. So I pick and choose carefully.
Yeah, so it's about
I'm way more likely to watch a stressful movie because there's like an end date.
Yeah.
Like it's like 2 hours, I have a resolution, I'm good, than I am to watch a stressful TV show where it just kind of drags on.
It's one of those British/Norwegian/ have accents where subtitles noirs.
Yeah.
And she was kidnapped as a child, but now has grown up to find child abductors.
Okay.
And so
kind of like a profiler thing like you like?
Yeah.
Sure. That makes sense. Right up your alley.
Yeah, although she was stressing me out because she was very she's kind of hem-hawed around a little bit. Kind of wanted her to like be a little more assertive. But I don't know how traumatized I would be had I been kidnapped as
probably a little bit.
I mean, who knows? Maybe. So it's only 6 episodes, so it's perfect.
Oh, yeah, you can get through that.
Yeah.
So I'm way more likely to watch something like that where it's like a finite.
Yeah, but so this little girl said, can she do an Easter egg hunt? So I was like, sure. So she had all the leftover plastic eggs. And, I wasn't paying attention. I was in my room. She was in the kitchen. Do you know what this little girl put in the plastic eggs?
What?
She literally opened up about 12 bags of fruit snacks. and put like 2 fruit snacks.
Just like individual fruit snacks.
Ravi, so I come out in the kitchen, and there's literally 12 wrappers of Welch's fruit snacks. I almost snapped.
She's putting like the actual individual fruit snacks.
I'm like, this is what we're doing. Now we're just going to wait. You know how I feel about fruit snacks.
Yeah.
And I get it. I'm not eating them, right? I want to, but
it still makes you mad to waste them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And old Miss Krabby Pants comes out, and she's like, I don't understand what's bothering you. You're not going to eat them anyway. If we're going to waste them, we could waste them like this, or we could waste them her way. And I was like, grumble, grumble, grumble. Ball these up and throw them in the trash.
You're like, I know you might be right, but I don't like it.
Gosh, I was like, who does that? But she's living her
Children do that.
living her best life.
Oh
So,
man.
What about did you eat anything good?
Let's see. We didn't really do anything special for Easter or anything like that. So Natasha was working yesterday. And so I just went out with my mom and my dad, but it was our normal Sunday lunch. So
Okay, so culturally, where is it in the pantheon of holidays?
for my dad or for the rest of us?
Well, there were a couple of restaurants I drove by that were open yesterday, and I was surprised. So I was like, maybe that's
So most restaurants were open yesterday, I think. It's because we go.
I'm talking in particular like Astoria or
No, yeah. I mean, I understood what you meant. I was trying to let you off the hook there.
I just
'Cause I'm kind.
I just asked the question.
No, Indian people or Hindu people specifically don't celebrate Easter,
Okay.
right? So it's not part of their.
So when you said most of the restaurants were open, you were picking up what I was putting down.
Yeah, but I think so. Like we went to a restaurant that was not of Asian influence at all. So I don't know. I think a lot of restaurants in general are open on Easter because if people don't, a lot of people will go out for Easter lunch
Or brunch anyway.
yeah.
For sure.
So we were out at a non culturally specific restaurant. Although I suppose it is a certain culture, but not ours. But it's a place my mom goes a lot, and so we just did our regular Sunday lunch. We didn't do anything specific.
Was it buffet?
No. My mom doesn't really do buffets.
Oh.
She's got some food allergy stuff, so she's got to be a little careful with.
Mm-hmm.
But they treat her really well. They do a good job with her stuff, so that's a go-to for her. She goes there a lot.
Oh, okay.
It's safe. Like the food is safe, and she trusts how they prepare it.
So is it the place that you told me, and I looked them up on the online menu, and I said, "Oh, did it look like that?"
No.
Different place?
Yeah, different place. It's a chain. I mean, it's fine.
Okay.
It's good. Like they treat her really well, so I appreciate going there.
We had impeccable service here Friday night.
Really?
It was incredible.
They're on top of it.
Yeah, it was.
What'd you end up having? Did you go wings?
Yep. I got 6 of the wings.
Yeah.
My mom and sister got like the bang bang shrimp. Which
The bang bang shrimp are good.
My mom goes, "Are the shrimp always this big? They seem so fresh."
Yeah, they're huge.
I was floored.
They're really good
because they've
size.
changed them over time.
Yeah.
They were sensational.
The bang bang sauce is really good.
There's a trio dip. I got the burger.
Okay.
With the bacon and the sausage.
Yeah. The DB burger.
Yeah,
Minus the bun, I assume.
I needed one more piece of cheese though.
Yeah. Well, some people do.
Wow.
Sometimes the one piece of DB cheese isn't good enough.
That's fine. I've saved all my pieces of cheese from my Deion discussion.
Yeah, I'll say you might need a couple of those.
And my mom got the fish.
The fish and chips?
Yeah.
Last date, or I think that was the last weekend to get it.
Yeah, and it's changed a little bit. It was still really, really good. It didn't look like the original.
The one that we got?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was really incredible.
I like that they do work on stuff, though. You know,
yeah, me too.
They're constantly tinkering and trying to make things better. I appreciate that.
Yeah, so it was cool.
Yeah, it's no, I enjoy the food here. I end up eating here a lot, especially during football season. So it's nice to enjoy the food.
The young lady that was seating us kind of rolled her eyes, almost like you again. Almost like I don't hear that much. You might see me during the day when I'm leaving the show, but let's the Madonna over there now.
She's like, hey, that's Donna Summer.
Yeah. Cam was here too.
Yeah?
Yeah. Which by the way,
Just eating or working?
Working. And I turned around and I saw him Saturday.
Yeah.
He was
over
Lincoln.
at Baxter.
Yeah. So whose idea was that? That's a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I think we came up with it because Baxter sponsored a lot of our football volleyball coverage. I think we came up with it as a sort of to put a bow on their season of coverage with us.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. I think Gorman and Sasha kind of brainstormed it.
Yeah, he was very hands-on.
Yeah. Like I said, I watched a lot of it on the stream, and it was a pretty cool deal.
Yeah.
How's the crowd out there?
It was okay.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
Got some good questions.
Yeah.
And we did 2 different panels. So some of the volleyball, the first panel kind of stuck around for the second, which was fine.
Yeah. No, it looked like a cool deal online. It was I enjoyed listening to you guys.
I kind of enjoy Kenny. There's a certain amount of authenticity to him.
Yeah.
Where it's like, it's not rehearsed, right?
So you guys didn't really know each other super well.
So the funny thing about that is he made it real hard on me unintentionally during one of my early spring broadcasts for BTN.
Okay.
Like he and DP, like these guys were rocking like the bucket hats and they were kind of silly on the sidelines. And
yeah,
I'm trying to do interviews and, he's being KB. But we've always kind of gotten along.
Mm-hmm.
He's had my number since he played here. Like we would text and go back and forth. So he was actually a guy that I liked watching because he played so hard.
Yeah.
Like he played hard, and sometimes he would play hurt.
Yeah,
he had the really bad
kind of
hip
growing thing for a long time, didn't he? Yeah.
And he always wanted to play, so I gravitated towards him.
I also really appreciate guys that aren't physically super big that play really tough.
He is built like a drinking straw.
He's wiry.
He is a thin son of a gun.
Yeah. But he played super tough.
Yeah, he makes it work.
He kind of, a little bit different, very different playing styles, but it reminds me of Barney a little bit, where that dude might be the smallest guy on the field half the time. I think I said this last year, he might be the toughest guy on the team.
Pretty tough.
Like that dude is.
It's probably more what he can endure.
Yeah.
More than what he gives out.
Sure, but that's part of it, right?
But he can endure quite a bit.
Yeah.
That receiving core is interesting.
Yeah, I think they might bring one in.
Well, why do you say that? I thought we loved this receiving core.
I do. I just numbers-wise, I think
starting to do the math.
Going into spring, I think they were counting on Hardly Gilmore as a rotation guy.
I do not, but
okay.
He's still a body.
Yeah, as a
talented body.
Yeah.
I never brought Hardly Gilmore up because I hardly knew anything about him.
Yeah.
Right.
So count on is probably not the right term. But I think they were counting his body as part of the room, and I think they probably want another one to make up for that spot.
Yeah.
If I had to guess.
So,
and then obviously they're looking at least one running back.
Yeah.
Going to be in town this week.
Which, by the way.
That's been reported, so that's
by the way.
Marty Brown, if you're wondering.
I think we will be together. Can I have Thursday morning off?
If you want to, sure.
Yeah, I think I have to be in Lincoln.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
Yeah. We'll find somebody.
Thank you.
Don't worry about it.
Don't be calling Wally Pip now. I'm gonna see this guy cracking jokes and.
Don't worry, I'll find somebody with a day job that
taking pot shots.
No, it's I do want to ask you something though because CharMar Brown is going to be in Lincoln on Thursday.
Correct.
Is the report.
Correct.
I want to ask you something when we come back here because I find his journey very interesting.
Yeah, we'll talk
Omaha,
about it.
NDSU, perhaps back to Lincoln. We'll see.
We'll talk about it.
Coming up on the show today, we've got Sam McKewon, as we always do, at 8 o'clock. And then our guy, Matty DeMarinis, White and Blue Review, will join us at 9. Got a lot of Nebraska Creighton basketball to talk about and Creighton baseball. Got a nice little get the brooms out.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, find themselves in first place in the Big East.
Yeah.
The Big East is wild. They were out of the tournament going into the weekend, and now they're in first place.
Yeah, just run down the top team and then give yourself a chance.
Yeah,
Nebraska needed to get those 2 on Saturday.
They really did. I've been doing some math on them, too, as well. We'll get into college baseball and much more. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. It's Hurrdat Sports Live.
Coach, big kind of weekend for you guys. I guess winning the Metro title is always good. What does this do for your team and momentum going forward?
Oh, it just builds confidence in the team that they can compete against the really good teams in the Omaha area, and we showed this weekend that we belong in the top tier of teams, and they played really good baseball basically the whole season. They competed well, pitched well, defended, and they'll continue to hit, and we're just looking to continue to get better each week.
And Oklahoma State softball story is a story of growth and success. After getting to visit the team this fall and watching practice and talking with Coach G, I am confident in this team this year.
The best you is really dang good. I mean, it's really good, okay? So just be that. No more, no less.
Lightning in my fingers, and I'm nice on my feet. Heavyweight big swinger, got you saying double while we're counting to three.
Mizuno and Oklahoma State softball are built for big moments.
Brace yourself.
Aspirations can drive us. Sometimes a simple gesture is what fuels the pursuit of a dream. When it's time to make your dream a reality, we are here to help. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. If you're on your way to work this morning, make sure you've got those eyes focused and straight ahead. You've got one job as a driver. That's to drive. Don't drive distracted. This message from the NDOT. highway safety office.
I've been to the airport and back, and people were driving very nicely.
Yeah?
Although it's extremely difficult to navigate the airport.
Yes, right now it is, as they're going under that construction project.
So drop-off is actually under the parking garage.
Yeah, it's a little confusing.
Oh, yeah. But my sister does a very good job of telling me what to do.
That's what older sisters are for, right?
Follow the orange things.
No, Damon, just read the signs.
She didn't talk that nice.
I was trying to give her benefit of the doubt.
No, she was cool, man. She had it was a good trip.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was super cool.
Good.
So I pulled into my mom's driveway about 5:55.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was 5 minutes early.
There you go.
My mom was like, they got the lights on in the living room and stuff. I'm like, what are you doing? If I make it to 83, I'm not doing anything until I want to.
Yeah.
And maybe she wanted to be up, but I doubt it.
Sleeping in.
Will I sleep in?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to wake up when I wake up. I'm not going to go out of my way to sleep in, but if I'm retired, I'm probably not setting an alarm.
I wonder how I'll be consuming my television shows.
Probably like through glasses, just smart glasses or something weird.
So I was trying to read which way that I wanted to take to the airport from my mom's.
Yeah.
And so I put my readers on, and all of a sudden my phone was like super crystal clear. But I tried to look out on the interstate, and it was a blur, and I was like,
yeah, it means you need bifocals.
Man, can I get there? Dang, just killing your boy.
I'm sorry. I made eyeglasses for a while.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
I joked with you about being the guy that actually crushed the glass.
I did.
Yeah.
Grinding the lenses.
Yeah, it's
So
kind of weird.
So do you set an alarm on Saturday or Sunday?
No, she didn't ask me until last night. So she texted me about 10 maybe. Because my nephew was going to take her, but I didn't want her to have to take an Uber. I get it. It's relatively safe. I don't really want my sister on an Uber at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, it's probably not a big deal, but if you other options.
Yeah, so I was like,
I'll take Ubers a lot if I'm out of town.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't really have a lot of other options. I will.
Well, that is the first time I've been in the shower at 5:10 in some months.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably since New York.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Because for whatever the reason, we had to be at the stadium by 7.
Yeah.
Eastern
that's
time.
Early. That's early.
To a dark place at Yankee Stadium where we couldn't really get in. But that's okay. We figured it out.
Hey, we got it done.
Kind of.
At least you didn't go to the wrong baseball stadium. That'd have been awkward.
No, Jess was with us.
That's good.
It was fine.
You end up at
and we took the equipment bus.
Oh, okay, good.
So
not left to your own devices.
No, but they did make us ID and scan in the rain.
That's not great.
Like, can you guys put up like a pup tent or something?
just a little.
Yeah. Can I get an awning? Something.
Big awning guy.
I don't know, man. I just hate being wet.
That thing wet.
Just swimming in it.
Yeah, just swimming in it. So I had a question though.
That thing wet.
Speaking of which, did you know Shane was on a quasi date this weekend?
What?
I ain't gonna put you out there though, Shane. That's all I'll say.
You
about
kind of
that.
just.
So the DJ can't spin.
You kind of just did.
I mean, it just seemed like an appropriate segue.
I like how you put him out there, and you're like, I'm not gonna put you out there though.
I know you want to get to this question, and I want to ask it. I want you to ask me, but Shane, the condensed version. Give Ravi the gist of you finding your energy drink this weekend.
Oh my gosh, because you had asked me the other day, so I drank.
So this was a discussion we had on air where I said, Shane, you're drinking the same drink for like a month. You usually get tired of things.
I do.
You rotate your lunch meat. You rotate everything, right?
Yeah.
And you said?
I said the other drink that I was rotating in, they stopped carrying it at both gas stations that I usually stop at, either the Quick Trip or the Buc-ee's gas station that I would stop at in the morning or after work to get an energy drink for the next day.
For your nap.
Are there any Buc-ee's left?
Or whatever the one. What's the one down on 100 and it's not a Buc-ee's. Maybe it's a.
They all used. I'm just asking because they all used to be Buc-ee's and
Yeah,
they got bought
yeah.
out.
What's the street? The
Is
one
it
on
Casey's
Pacific?
now?
The one on Pacific? 120th and Pacific?
It's 108th and.
How long you lived here, man? You sound like Caleb. How do you not know your like? What are we doing?
It's like, I don't know, whatever it is. Anyway, they stopped carrying it, right?
Okay.
So I went to and I helped
a friend
out, and we stopped at Dollar Tree, and I didn't even want to go there. And I'm walking down the aisle, and I look up, and one of the shelves just had the one drink, and there was like 40 of them up there, of the one drink that I hadn't seen for like the last year at either one of the gas stations that I go to. So I'm like, okay,
you're like jackpot, baby.
Jackpot. So I was thinking I'd get like 10, 15 of them, and I put them in the cart, thinking they were going to be $1.25 each.
He bought 14 of them.
I bought 14 of them at 62 cents each.
And you calculated your savings. What did you save, Shane?
At least $28.
So I kind of get that.
Because they're like $2.79 a can when you buy them individually.
He's the goat.
No, I know. Like, so if I drink those.
And you were so happy to tell. It was the first thing that he said to me this morning.
Oh, when he gets a deal, he's thrilled.
I was gonna send you a picture, but I was like, well, you're probably.
That's what Sauter would have done. Sauter would have sent us a picture and the receipt and the whole thing.
Yeah.
He'd be like, plus I got this much off my gas. No, I've done that before. So I drink a lot of Gatorade when I'm like playing tennis or working out or whatever.
Yeah.
So my blood sugar doesn't go low. And so, Gatorade can get a little pricey.
Yeah.
I found this one, for whatever reason, they were selling the big Gatorade bottles for 25 cents a pop. So I bought all of them.
Wait, 25 cents?
This was several years ago, but it was literally a quarter per bottle.
Okay.
So I bought all of them that they had. Literally every Gatorade they had, I just bought them. Because it was a quarter per bottle. Those things are like $2-3 a pop.
Yeah.
I just bought. If they did that with the electrolyte stuff that I like.
When you see the 2 for $5s now with the 32 ounces, you feel like you hit the jackpot.
Yeah, because it's they're like $3.79 a piece usually.
I get it.
But if I ever found the electrolyte ones that I like at any sort of discount like that, I would buy every single one.
Well, I was going to go back. I mean, I wanted to go back and get the rest of the ones that were on the shelf, but I was like, I'm not all about this life standing in line again for like 40 minutes.
He ain't about that life.
No. I'd have put them all in. Just
well, I didn't know they were 60. This $1.25. I didn't know they were going to ring up at 62 cents each. So
they wanted to go back and get more, didn't you?
I did wanted to go back and get all of them.
That's what I do. Man.
Who carried them? That's what I want to know.
Well, I did.
Did you?
Yeah.
They double bag it for you?
Yeah, the guy Mark double bagged it for me.
Mark, you made nice?
Yeah.
God bless you.
I was like, yeah, I got an addiction here. And he's like, well, it's no big deal. They're ringing up 62 cents each. I'm like, really?
If he was really on your side, he'd been like, hey, do you want to go back and get more?
He didn't care. He didn't give a what.
I've had people do that before.
He's like, you're getting a deal here, ma'am.
I've had people do that before. Something rings up cheaper even than I think it's going to.
Yeah.
They'll be like, do you want to go grab some more? I'll hold it here for you for a second.
Shane, maybe you need to go back and have some.
Yeah, maybe Mark doesn't really have your back the way you think he does.
Maybe go after the show.
I just thought that was
line's
funny.
a little shorter.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's a weekday. People aren't out doing their shopping right now. We have strange hours, so we can get away with stuff like that.
Oh shoot. That was his quasi date story.
Let's take a listen.
Oh man, it was awesome.
Dates to Dollar Tree, baby. Let's go.
Hey, where do you want to go? How about Dollar Tree? Ooh, let's go.
That's how you know you're secure in your relationship. No fancy dinners, no whining and dining. Let's go to Dollar Tree, baby.
Yeah.
Well, it's a little deceiving though, because it's not really $1. Everything's $1.25.
Do you feel misled?
I feel misled a little bit there.
That damn inflation,
dude. You're like a cartoon.
I mean, what if they call it the $1.25 tree or something?
It doesn't really have the same ring to it, bud.
I mean, if you're going to raise the price up, you might as well change your signage.
I think as long as it starts with a 1, they're still kind of within their bounds.
Oh boy.
And yours wasn't even $1.25. Yours was 62 cents, man.
Call it the 62-cent tree.
TC Denny.
What's wrong with him?
Bargain crack rock hunting. You told Mark you had an addiction?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've been looking for these. I've been
got a regular energy drink. Tyrone Bigham's over there. Here for the 5 o'clock free energy drink giveaway.
So much for your question this segment.
We'll get to it in the next segment.
Oh, man.
There's a running back coming to visit Nebraska.
Yes, there is.
I have questions about it.
All right, let's talk about it.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what we can do. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. It's Hurrdat Sports Live.
I want to mine the state. I think there's good players in the state. Okay, but like if a player's a really good player and doesn't quite fit us, and he's going to go somewhere else, I want him to go be happy. I care about football in the state. That's why we're open. Every practice is open to the high school coaches in the state. That's why our camps are not just select invitational camps. That's why we do youth camps. That's why we do free youth camps. That's why we go speak at clinics. That's why our coaches clinic had 500 people here just for us. We are going to pour into the state in football. But what I have found is, if you bring a player here from the state and they're not happy, the place that they love now becomes a miserable thing. So I have to be sure that they're good enough. And what's happening sometimes here is some of the other schools that aren't playing in the Big Ten, they're going to offer them as a sophomore. And everyone looks at me like, well, why haven't you offered him yet? It used to be you got offered as a senior, you know? And I like guys, if I'm not quite sure yet, don't I owe it to you to be sure before I offer you a scholarship? And now before I offer you a rev share deal? So I don't think there's anything wrong at the University of Nebraska that we carry ourselves like the top 20 teams in the program, in the country.
Aspirations can drive us. Sometimes a simple gesture is what fuels the pursuit of a dream. When it's time to make your dream a reality, we are here to help. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Coach, just walking around Devaney, what kind of memories come to mind? You see the Jordan Larson jerseys.
Well, this is our Olympic deal, and you think about the last 4 Olympics, we've had 3 players from Nebraska out of the 12 that made the Olympic team, and I think there might be their World Championship, which they won for the first time as well. Pretty proud of that. People have no idea how hard it is to make the Olympic team. I mean, so many things have to go right, and to make those 12 players that get to represent the United States. So this is a very prideful display booth right here. These are the Honda Broderick Award winners. So this goes to the best volleyball player / student. And again, they've changed it now, but it used to be the Honda Broderick. This is the most prestigious. It's like winning the Heisman. This is the Heisman one right here. And then the other one up here is our some of our statistical wins we've had, like being the best blocking team in the country, best defensive team in the country. So those are, people really don't notice those. Those are the ones coaches notice.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back. Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. DB.
Yes, sir.
I had a question.
Is it a hard one?
It might be. I don't know. I'm genuinely curious, though.
I'm going to go ahead and doubt that.
No, I am. It's a thing that I don't know the answer to, and I think you might. And
it's one of life's great mysteries.
I would love to. I'd love to get some information if I could.
How does my microphone sound?
I think it sounds great.
Shane, what do you think? Good talk.
Yeah, it sounds pretty good.
All right.
Does mine sound okay?
Yeah, you sound fantastic. Very funny.
Very funny.
Your mic makes you funny.
Well,
I want one like that.
Well, I'm all hopped up on rain over here, so.
Whoa, no free ads.
just
as I have C4 on the camera every day.
Just doing my own thing.
Yeah.
I was like, they might be paying him. We don't know.
You know, my advertisement is always the same.
West Side.
West Side.
Mustard.
West Side.
You turn it upside down. You know what it is?
What's that? Oh, okay. How about, speaking of Gatorade, how about Kendrick just doing Gatorade ads?
Is he? I haven't seen that.
Oh, yeah. You didn't watch the NBA playoffs?
Yeah, I did. I don't pay attention to the commercials.
I don't either. So I'm kind of like, what was I doing?
Like, as soon as a commercial comes up, I go to my phone, and then when I hear the announcer's voice back in, I flip back up.
I have a ridiculous watermark thing that comes up on my phone, so it will not let me put anything in it, even though my phone is perfectly dry.
Weird.
So I've tried to – so it's what happened on the way back. Oh, no, you weren't with us. Wait.
When?
Big Ten.
Yeah, yeah.
It was doing it then, too. Do you remember that?
Yeah, because it did on the way up, too.
Yeah. Go, dun, 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 and it's not really wet. And then I had to, like, Google.
You were Googling how to fix it or how to get it to stop doing that.
So this time it didn't work.
Oh, that's no
Unless I'm doing it wrong, but the guy has a very thick accent.
What part of what kind of accent? One of mine? We're pretty good with technology.
So maybe I'm misunderstanding. Maybe this sounds horrible. I'm so sorry.
You need to spend some more time at Indian restaurants, practice listening through that particular dialect.
I typically don't like. Okay, I'm like, you're not gonna get me.
You want to bet? Can I say I'm trying to get you out of trouble here. So can I say I even for me, who grew up around a lot of Indian accents and dialects, although my dad's is very faint, like it's not. He's been here for a long time, longer than he was ever over in the motherland, as we like to call it. There are certain parts of, like, if you're from certain parts of India, I have a really hard time understanding their accents based on, like, Southern Indians have a different accent than Northern and Central Indians.
Would you be offended if I sent you the video?
You want me to, like, interpret?
Save the Wakanda jokes like before. I'm just asking.
I will give it a shot.
Not necessarily to understand him, but just from a technology standpoint.
If I know how to do what he's saying in the video,
yes,
we'll give it a go.
Wow,
we'll give it a go.
I'm sorry.
We're doing all right.
We're fine. I know what you try to do.
No. Hot Danger's right. RRR is a good movie.
Pardon?
RRR. It's an Indian movie. It's good. It won an Oscar for something.
There's
Best
a
original
lot of bad movies that win awards.
Yeah, that's true. It's a good movie, though.
Yeah. English Patient.
It's like the Indian version of Inglourious Bastards, which you still need to watch.
I mean, we'll try.
Just give it a go.
I started.
What's the one did you start Ted Lasso finally?
No, I started Last of Us.
It's
really hard for me to get past Pascal.
You need to. Well, there's no Pascal Siakam in Ted Lasso. Just not Pascal Siakam. Pedro Pascal. There's no Pedro Pascal Siakam.
Got tired of him hitting threes the other day.
Or Eric Pascal.
Boy, the Bucks suck sometimes.
Yeah, they really do.
I told you about the Lakers defensively.
Don't worry though. They got.
I asked you about Ant. I asked you a lot of questions that came to fruition the other day. I feel like you should be like, you know what? That damn DB is pretty smart.
You have your moments. I don't want to throw a blanket statement on it, but
cold-blooded. We're out here. This is where the magic happens.
All right, I have a question.
Yeah. Okay.
Not about dialects or anything like that.
Okay.
So, Marty Brown.
AKA Marty CharMar.
Is it Char or Char? I really don't know. I'm not trying to.
So this is weird for an adult.
Yeah.
I just call him Mar.
What up, Mar?
Stop. I don't say it like that. Yeah, we talked for quite a bit the other day.
So, Marty, I'm going to call him Marty because I know
Marty's cool.
Because I know how to pronounce that, even though
his twin is nice too.
It feels like I should know him better to call him Marty, but I'm going to do that just because I know how to pronounce that part.
Yeah.
So Marty Brown,
was
an Omaha Creighton Prep guy.
Mm-hmm.
Went to NDSU.
Yep.
Had a really nice season.
Former Low Vike.
Won the Jerry Rice Award, best freshman in FCS football.
Correct.
We love Jerry Rice here. At least I do.
Yeah.
The royal we loves Jerry Rice. Here's my question.
It will never be Royals.
Different.
Yeah,
that's Lord.
That is her name.
Yeah.
Good pull.
It was. So here's my question. Last year or year and a half ago, whenever he committed to NDSU, what in your mind was the thing that kept him at the time from seeming like a Big Ten back that's either has changed now or they realize is different?
So that's the thing. That's a question for him to answer because I do feel wow, that's a really good question. I do feel like Nebraska's approach to him this time around will have to be he'll have to be able to offset the sentiment that surrounded the previous staff in his recruitment. Because I do believe there is some residual there.
Sure.
That Coach Rule and his staff will have to overcome.
In terms of the way
yes.
Marty feels about the staff.
Yes, how he was recruited the first time around.
Because that was, I mean, really the essence of my question, right? Both, because there's two parts of it, right? Physically, was there something he showed them that he's different than they thought?
So remember, it's a different staff. Okay, like that recruitment it's a different staff.
Yeah, for sure.
So for him, I think coming out, it was a lot like what Lance talked about, where I think sometimes people questioned a little, kind of like maybe top end speed.
Sure.
I liked his movement. He's got good lateral quickness. I thought he was.
Some people weren't sure how twitchy he was, though.
Yeah,
that came up a
like
lot.
that was the thing.
Yeah.
But I've seen him for so long.
Yeah.
That because even
did you coach him with Low Vikes?
So the first year I was a spectator.
Okay.
I wasn't asked to help until I had to earn some credibility. I don't know what was going on these other years with Ryan, but that's just how that's just how he is, right?
Yeah.
He didn't even want Caleb at first.
Yeah.
Have him tell you that story.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to take him just because he's DB's kid. And I was like, this guy's pretty good.
Might be good at football.
I'm dead serious.
No, I know.
He wasn't going to take him because they had the same team for X amount of years, and they were really good. But anyway, even then, he was so smooth and fluid. He was never like a burner, but he never like went down. And so as he started to run track, and he's pretty yoked too. Like he's got a really good frame. I think the way that he's utilized kind of changed what people think of him. I think it doesn't often get put in the discussion. I think running backs are hard to critique. I think it's for everybody else. I think I know, of course, because I mean, I know everything. Just ask me.
No, but if you feel strongly about something, you think you know.
I do.
Yeah.
And because
I feel the same way about basketball players.
Because even sometimes the things that I critique or that I think are going to be useful aren't things sometimes that you can always see.
Yeah.
All right. So with him, I think some of those questions like lingered, but this current staff doesn't have any problems with that. And we would go down tomorrow, except tomorrow they're only in helmets.
You want just full thud?
They want him to see
what it's like.
Full thud.
Yeah.
So they're like, hey, how does Thursday work?
So before we get to Sam here real quick, how much of that is similar to what we saw happen with like a Zane Flores with previous staff versus current staff, where maybe they went and tried to go back and get it? I know that was,
they did make a good run. They
tried to go back and get it.
They did make a good run.
And they're just like, hey, there's been too much done here.
Yeah, and I hate the whole, because somebody brought up Zane the other day, and I can't remember where it was on social media. Like, yeah, well, that guy's not even playing at Oklahoma State. And I always want to say to people, you guys have no idea how important it is who's coaching you and what you're going through, whether they can get something out of it.
Yeah.
Like,
I say it about NFL quarterbacks all the time. How many times I've talked about NFL quarterbacks that were trash that I'm like, I think they could have been good somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right.
And sometimes you just need to be.
However true that is in the NFL, it's more true in college.
Because especially coming out of high school, I think there's very few guys from a talent standpoint that can supersede the situation.
100%.
There's lots of good players that you'll read about coming out of high school that all of a sudden aren't what
you never hear from again.
You know, sometimes it just happens like that.
That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. Sam McKewon coming up next year on Hurrdat Sports Live.
We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live. Here is the sports editor for the Omaha World Herald, Sam McKewon.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Sam McKewon.
We're gonna throw the ball, and you just stand back there and throw it where you want to go. You know, that kind of thing.
Sam McKewon.
Are you guys going? Sure.
Now, Sam McKewon.
Kicking off hour number 2 on Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centris Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We are joined now by Sam McKewon from the Omaha World Herald. Sam, how are you this morning? Sam, you with us?
I am.
Oh, there he is.
How are you?
Sam, I am. How we doing?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Good.
You enjoying the weather?
Today. Yeah.
Well, what make you didn't enjoy it yesterday? I thought yesterday was fantastic.
Yeah, okay. Are you like one of those yard people? Like,
yeah. Those yard people.
I need the rain for my yard.
Sam, let me tell you, this guy, while it's raining yesterday, has his sprinklers on.
Oh.
That's a real thing he told me this morning.
Yeah. All right.
It's a good thing we're boys, right? What do you mean, one of those yard people?
I saw some tweet, like, I wish we'd gotten more. I'm like, on Easter? Really? How about we just have it the next day? Like, so long as we're going to be making moral judgments, can the holidays just be the days without the bad weather?
Oh, are you one of those yard people? That's going to stick. I might put that on a T-shirt.
That's okay. I know lots of people who are that way. But
it's just your delivery. Like, this dude was disgusted with me. Oh, this rain.
No.
Well, in full disclosure, Sam, like, I actually had to hide these ridiculous plastic eggs in the rain. So I wasn't exactly tickled, but I do like green grass, though.
He's very Midwestern, Sam. He goes, we needed this.
Well, we did. That's true.
I don't appreciate what's going on
somebody
here.
It was like, yeah, it's green right now, but if we don't get rain really soon, it's going to turn brown. So it's very beautiful today. walking outside, you see all the rain, and it's a fact, and it's a gorgeous spring day.
All right, I'm curious because you have lots of options with what you guys did in the offseason. Are you more excited about what your team's going to do in the draft or anxious to see what Nebraska does in the portal?
You talking about the Bears?
Yes. I mean, is there another team you cheer for, Sam?
Yeah, the Browns. Yep. So my wife.
Well, that's your wife.
So yeah, but I mean, I cheer for them too.
That's
the
cute.
Browns are the much more interesting team, obviously, in the draft because they have the opportunity to take Travis Hunter, and they have to decide whether they want to do that or not, and then how to utilize him if they choose to use him because they have a number one receiver. Jerry Jeudy is their number one receiver. So, I would not personally take him, but they probably will end up doing so because he'll get butts in the seats. As far as the Bears are concerned, there's a number of things they can do, and they'll probably end up taking an offensive lineman. And the reality is they got to get it done with Caleb Williams and the guys that are already assembled. And they've got Ben Johnson as their head coach, and he needs to –
a guy can pitch.
He needs to get that – yeah, he needs to get that team, to win games in a super competitive division. It's probably maybe the best coach division. Although I'm not a big Matt LaFleur fan, I do think he's a pretty good coach.
What?
And I think it may be the best coach division in the NFC.
So what makes you not a fan?
He's just kind of whiny,
Yeah.
and he just has I don't know. He's just not my favorite. I really like the Vikings coach. I think he's a dude. And
O'Donnell.
Dan Campbell I like too. Dan Campbell, you have to have a lot of respect for the way he goes about it. Certainly a passionate guy. I like Ben Johnson. LaFleur is just not my personal favorite, but I really like their quarterback. So if I was picking of the four quarterbacks in the division, I'd probably take him right now. But Caleb Williams has got a ton of talent. So hopefully the Bears are able to bring it out. Nebraska in the portal, I just don't know how much. I just don't know how much they're going to be able to do because they've got to drop players unless the settlement doesn't get approved, and it just sort of languishes. Nebraska is going to have to obviously shed some players off its current roster, including players that in a different roster size universe they'd probably love to have. So what I would tell Husker fans is there are going to be a couple guys, if the 105 thing is approved, that are probably going to leave that you're like, oh, man, that's too bad. That guy might end up being pretty good somewhere else. And they might be able to add a Marty Brown and maybe a few other players out of the portal. But I think they're 90% of the team that they're going to be rolling with next year is already on the roster.
So, Sam, I want to stay on the, I guess, sort of Marty Brown-ish page for a minute.
That's great.
Do you think that running back is a place they should address, whether even if Marty Brown is a no on either side? Do you think they should address that regardless? And is there any other position? I know we're talking about probably a very few number of actual people for the reason that you mentioned, but where else, what other position group are you looking at as like, hey, I'd like to see a little bit there?
Yeah, so they have 5 scholarship running backs, 2 of whom are true freshmen. So if you add another one, you're at 6. Obviously, addition, easy math. But the reality is,
I like integers, Sam. I like whole numbers are good.
Yeah, you're gonna somewhere in there. You're gonna have a scholarship crunch, and anytime you're adding a 6th running back, you're accepting the fact that somewhere down the line, somebody else might leave, and they might leave right away. So, you have to go in there with that understanding. I do think Marty Brown's a really good player. I think he's done it. Quentin Ives has not really done it, right? Now, if you put Quentin Ives at North Dakota State, would he have had 1,000 yards? I really don't know.
Yeah, they're very different runners.
They are. Yes, they are.
Marty's the guy that runs behind his pads. He's got a low center of gravity. Ives is a little more upright, kind of on the balls of his feet. They're very different runners.
Very true. And so I think Quentin has had to learn how to run between the tackles based on his size. So I think that's something to watch. North Dakota State's offense, I would describe it as very similar in some ways to what Satterfield was doing. I don't know if Holgerson's going to be doing all of those things. And Marty Brown was very versatile in that role. Usually he was in an I formation. They had another running back who was usually in the shotgun plays.
I think he wants to catch the rock too. You know what I mean? I think that's
Yeah,
appealing
he did.
to him.
Yeah. So one thing I did once he went in the portals, I watched. Oh God, they played Southern Illinois. I watched that game, and you can watch about 30 minutes of highlights of every game on YouTube, and then there's sometimes you'll get the full game. So I went and watched again the full game against East Tennessee State because I'd already watched Jalen George in that game, and then I watched Towson. So I watched like 40. And I think, the way they used him was really effective. He's really good with a lead blocker. He's fearless. He runs through people. He runs over people. He drags people. I think he's a running back that Nebraska would like to have, but of course it comes down to cost. How do you fit him into revenue sharing? Well, I don't know. How do you fit him into NIL? Well, that depends on what 1890 and some of the people with deeper pockets are willing to provide. And so that'll be an intrigue worth watching over the next week. I know, Miami obviously is apparently in the mix according to Chain Sport. I think that's their on-3 site.
Yeah.
I know West Virginia could be. I mean, there's other schools that will have money, and Nebraska has to decide, how much they want to pony up. And then it comes down to the role. And then it also comes down to what is Ives going to do? You spent 2 years developing him. Is he going to stick around?
Sam, let me ask you something. Like, especially with, you do a ton of work with high school. It's always the Super Six influence. And you heard Coach Rule answer your question about, in-state and, you can't serve two masters. How much of guys that come back around do you think they have to talk about or through the previous courtship, right? Do you get the sense that players that weren't as embraced early on in their recruiting out of state versus in state will come back around? Because there could be a couple of guys that come back into the fold that are pretty good players, right? Do you think they'll have to overcome that a little bit?
Perhaps. If we're talking about the kids that are committed to Iowa State, I don't know that those guys will necessarily.
I don't see anybody in that group. I think that have gone elsewhere and may come back. Not currently, not guys that aren't in college yet.
No, I think though. I think if we're talking about guys that are currently somewhere else, I think Nebraska's put themselves in a pretty good position.
Okay.
I think they, obviously Marty Brown was not going to be a factor because he had already committed to North Dakota State and Rule got here, and I think their goal was to go out and get Jalen Lloyd, and I think at the time they got here, they had a ton of running backs in the room. I think Marty committed, signed with North Dakota State that December. Then they went out and, they had already added A.J. Allen, and they had Anthony Grant, and I don't know. I mean, I don't think Marty's one of those situations. I don't think a couple of these other guys that they tried to recruit are those situations. I think in this current group of players, it could be more challenging. I think, in part because Iowa State didn't offer these kids as sophomores, just so we're clear. They offered some of the kids as juniors, and then the rest of them they offered here in the last 3 months. But Iowa State they went in and they went and said they bought low. They said, you know what, you guys don't have any power offers. We think you're going to be a power conference player. We're going to come in here and we're going to get you. I'm going to guess that they aren't costing as much money as some of the guys Nebraska's going after. And I think Iowa State's, taking a risk, but it's a strategy that I think could really pay off for them. Some of these kids in Nebraska, you get them in a D1 program for 3 years, and they develop, and they're all of a sudden they're really good football players. And maybe they're from wherever program they're from, but then they get to again in Iowa State, and Kean Kaiser could be a starter in 3 years, 2 years. Barry Freeze, the son of Gabe, that guy can play. That guy could be a really good player at Iowa State. So I don't know if this current crop fits that, but I do think that everybody up till now has had really positive relationship with Nebraska, and the kids I talked to for this Iowa State story, by the way, they don't have anything bad to say about Nebraska because Nebraska didn't string them along, and Nebraska didn't lie to them. Rule didn't lie. He didn't do anything that like made him feel like frustrated him. There just wasn't a lot of connection. And so I think with the previous classes, there was quite a bit of connection. They could only take so many. And I think Nebraska put its best foot forward. So there's a chance that some of these guys will come back for sure.
Did you like the answer about serving two masters? I thought that was a unique perspective on from a, I was going to say a biblical perspective, but I get the fact that he's well versed in the word, but the answer seemed very apropos.
Yeah, and it was in relation to the recruiting. So he didn't know I was going to ask him that question. I don't think anybody knew I was working on the story. And so I wasn't sure what I was going to get. I thought I might get a shrug. I don't know. You know, I thought I
you could tell he was thinking about it too. Did you check out his body language?
Yeah,
he was really thinking.
I think someone had been talking to him about it, and it may be that it's frustrating to him because the reality is Nebraska signed 22 in-state players in his first three classes, and that was six more than Scott Frost signed in his entire tenure for scholarship players. And so Matt Rule put a lot into recruiting in-state guys, and so he has nothing to he could have mentioned that. He has nothing to be ashamed of as it relates to his record. I think the point that he was trying to make, and it wasn't just about in-state recruiting, but it was about anything, is it's like everybody for many, many years now, I think there was an over concern about how to do this or how to do that. And who do you need to talk to? And like, who do you need to consult and who do you need to please? And I think he is at a point where like the only thing that really matters, and I think he understands this now, is winning. And I wish it weren't like that, but it really is important at this point. And so I think the decision he made about the spring game was in reference to winning. I'm not sure I quite agree 100% with his decision, but I understand why he made it, and that's more important than whether I agree. So I think what he's trying to say, and when they do huddle breakdowns, they go 1, 2, 3, win, and they got a thing up on the Husker Vision that says win. Like they're not. It's not about at this point it's winning the rep and winning the day, winning the down, winning the game. Like they need to win because otherwise the whole thing is just going to get, it's like a fast moving train. And you don't think USC is a board? USC is a board. And you don't think UCLA is a board? They're a board. I don't know who stepped up with money for Nico Iamaleava, but somebody did, because I don't think he was going to go to UCLA unless he had that money. And so, like, everybody's getting on the train, and Nebraska's got to get on too. And in order to get on, they got to win. And I think he understands that, and I think he's trying to make decisions that are shaped by the desire to give Husker fans what they want, which is championship.
Sam, how much of the in-state recruiting strategy do you think is simply, hey, it's winning now or nothing else matters, and how much of it? Like, it seems like a lot of these guys, if it weren't for the roster limits, would still have an opportunity to come play at Nebraska. Am I reading too much into that, or is it that simple?
Well, they wouldn't have. They'd have to come as walk-ons. I mean, I think Iowa State's extending some sort of financial package that makes these kids want to go. I don't think Jet Tomlin would be coming here. Atsmala would be coming here. I think they have their quarterback in Dayton Raiola. So,
and you may have another one. You may have another one on May 1st. Or whenever he decides.
And he's 20. Yeah, he's 27.
I get it, but I mean, it matters.
He's a good player.
Yeah.
He's a good player, and so I don't think the situation with Jet's a little different than the other ones, because he could have gone to about 12 schools, and he picked Iowa State because he thought that was the best one. Some of these other situations, I think Nebraska may well have offered him. Remember that Donovan Jones didn't get an offer.
Yeah, he was super late. Yep, he was way late. Yeah.
And so, like, he didn't get his offer till summer camp. And that's because Rule wants to see those guys in camp. And so, they saw Jace Reynolds last year in camp. They gave him an offer. At that time, I'm not sure we knew what the roster limit was going to be. So I think some of it's that. Honestly, I think it's that, and I've said this already, it didn't make any difference whether they're going to have a roster limit or not. Some of these guys are going to leave. Now, they cut some of the walk-ons, but, like, they have so many scholarship defensive backs
like it's going to be hard. It would have been hard even if they didn't have a 105-minute limit to sell those guys on. Well, hey, you want to stick around and be a fourth teamer? Like, you know, you don't play that many defensive backs during a game. You want those guys to have some chemistry, and so there's some ball players on this team that are probably just going to go because they're going to go to their exit conversation, and Rule's going to tell them, hey, look, I mean, you're in a really loaded room, and the reality is, we see you playing here. You're going to be a sophomore. We think you're a third-team guy. If you want to go to, you know, group of 5 school over here, you might be able to start. We have connections there. What do you think? Like, it's just going to be one of those deals where they were going to lose some guys anyway because they signed so many players in his first 2 classes. They signed a ton of players, and I think they signed those players with the intention of bringing them here to compete. And then the guys that didn't quite make the cut were going to not necessarily be shown the door, but they were just going to be told very honestly where they were. And I think they assumed that natural competition would lead those guys to say, well, you know what, guys, I love you, but I want to play college football. And if you're telling me I'm third or fourth team, then I'm going to go somewhere where I can play. And I think that's going to happen. And so that was going to happen either way because of the number of players that they signed in those first 2 classes. They signed ginormous classes, including in-state guys.
Yeah.
And of the in-state guys that have left, 4 receivers and a quarterback, but everyone else is still there.
Hey, I want you to listen to something real quick, Sam. Shane, hold the clip, and I'll get off of this just because. The duality in me saying this, Sam, is guys that go to Iowa State or whatever, right? I was a huge Bramer guy. He's a Sunday guy. I'm 4 kids. I don't care where you go to school. I want you to have the best opportunity to play. But let's not act like Iowa State isn't a really good program in terms of development, because I'm just telling you, 8-5 in 2017, 8-5 in 2018, 7-6 in 19, 9-3 in 20, 7-6 in 21, 4-8 in 22, 7-6 in 2023, 11-3 in 2024. Every year they've had a better record than Nebraska. So one thing I think we've got to stop doing for our own sanity is worrying about or the compare and contrast of who's doing what with in-state versus out-of-state. If their programs on the surface have been more successful than us, like, we got to mind our own business and kind of get back to what the theme that you were talking about with what you see around the stadium, what you hear Coach Rule say, like, just win. Like, if you win, nobody's going to care about the periphery, right? They just won't. I just, but in the same vein, I just don't want us to act like, and not me and you, and because I think you know how I feel about Iowa State's program and Haycock and Matt Campbell in general, but like, it's a good program. So
yeah,
like, and I trust their evaluations too, right? So I mean, I don't know why we kind of get this sentiment like we kind of thumb our nose, but because Iowa State's, it's a good program.
It is a good program. I think a couple of things that I would say is that, you know, Nebraska there's probably 2 things that are true. One, the league that Iowa State plays in is not as hard as the league Nebraska plays.
That is understood, but I don't want to slight the players because of that. They can only control what they can control. But I do understand that sentiment, and I wholeheartedly agree with you.
Right. So not at all. So there's that. 1. 2, Iowa State, having the league that it's in, Iowa State has acclimated and understands its own league better than Nebraska appears to have understood the Big Ten and the entire time Nebraska's been.
At least early on. I think they're getting
Iowa
it now.
State,
yeah.
They're getting it. But Iowa State, like, really plays to its league. And I tip my hat. 3, their quarterback play has been vastly better than Nebraska's over the last decade. And that's an area where Nebraska can learn. Now, I do think that Nebraska's quarterback play is going to be equal to or better than Iowa State this year. I think last year, Beck was probably a little bit better than Raiola, but not by much. That has been a huge chasm between the 2 programs. And, it was 4 years of Brock Purdy. And that's no joke. It helped them. I know that they weren't good every year that Brock Purdy was there. And Breece Hall's a very good player, don't get me wrong, but man, did Brock Purdy help them.
Yeah, look who they were getting drafted defensively. I mean,
right. So it's such a help to have good quarterbacks in your program. And then, Hunter Deckers was a good player. Obviously, what happened. But, now they got another guy that's there that's really good. So like they're really good, and their quarterback play has been really good. Is Hunter Decker the one I'm thinking of that went to Iowa Western? Is that the guy that went there?
Yeah, the gambling deal.
Yeah. So, like that guy was really good when he was at Iowa State. And then the guy that's replaced him, really good. Like you just can't. Now you can look at the pieces that Iowa State has, and yeah, they got a couple of receivers that were good. They had, and obviously Breece Hall was a very good player, but they haven't had a ton of linemen. They haven't had elite pass rushers. They coach to a system on defense that fits the league they're in, and their quarterback play has been outstanding. And I think you can credit to some degree Jake Waters, who is there now. I know Jake hasn't been there for the entire time that Matt Campbell's been there, but Jake Waters deserves some credit there. So there's things Nebraska can learn from what Iowa State has done, and then there's things that Nebraska has to do on its own because of the league that it's in. And the Big Ten is a harder league.
Yeah.
Rule is right about that.
100%.
It's not rude to say it, but if you gave Iowa State Nebraska's schedule, and you swapped the schedules, I think Iowa State would have been hard pressed to win 11 games. I think they would have been like, oh dang, Illinois is pretty good. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they're pretty good, and they're very physical, and they have a very good head coach, and so on and so forth. Man, it's Indiana's better than we thought, or geez, USC's got way more talent. I think when Nebraska went out there, again, we agree that Nebraska should have won that game, but you could see USC's talent on the field. They had some guys that Nebraska didn't have. And so, stuff like that. It's a very hard context that Nebraska has to play into. And I'm trying to tell people, I've told people this many times now, it's only going to be tougher this year. The teams they're playing have largely improved, except Indiana swapped out for Michigan State. But, don't sleep on anybody they're playing. It's going to be a tough road. Nebraska's got to play really good football to win 9 games in 2025.
Yeah, let me get your out on this, Sam. And now, partly I'm bugged by people either want stories or they want a pound of flesh to be able to hold Coach Rule accountable. And I don't have really any problems with wanting to hold a coach accountable, except don't make up stuff, right? You can have your own opinion, but you don't get your own set of facts. I want you to listen to this and tell me what you think he was talking about, and is he specific or not when he makes the comment? Shane?
I'm out there every day, and I'm like, hey, red zone lockout, FUD, and Dane Keys, make it live. Emmett Johnson, they love football, so this is the team I've been waiting for in terms of that. This is the team I've been waiting for. When you have a fourth-year guy who started in the SEC, you've got
Shane.
Emmett Johnson, who's a starter.
Was he specific or not, Sam?
Well, at the very end, I asked him.
Yes, you did.
Because I wanted more specificity, and he explained it, what he thought, and so yes, by the end, I thought he was very specific that what he feels like he had is a group of players who really want to go do this thing the way that he wants them to, and that they don't have. I was talking to somebody earlier in the spring, and they just said, well, a lot of the guys that don't buy in are all gone. They used a different phrase. But
did it seem like to you that people want their pound of flesh to be able to hold something against him when they clearly didn't understand the context in which he said it?
I haven't heard anybody like that.
Okay.
But yeah, I understand. If somebody reads into that this team, that what he was saying there is this team's going to win 11 games. That's not what he said. That's not what he said. Now, he did talk about the difference between the Big 12 and the Big 10.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of why I asked you, right? Because it all builds.
I'd go beat the Big 12 team to start the season. I will say that.
Well, they'll have every opportunity.
Well, they should.
Right?
They should be. They should. I appreciate, and I've watched more Cincinnati football than I could care to admit.
Yeah, and so that they've got two good Sunday guys, for sure, fire Sunday guys that I think could really pose some problems for Nebraska, especially
absolutely. But Yeah, but I mean, let's be honest. In the fourth quarter, Nebraska should run the football and stop them. But I'm not trying to get a pound of flesh when I say that. I'm just saying that, like, Matt Rule is a confident guy. He likes his team. There's nothing wrong with that. And I did not think that he said in any way, shape, or form that the team was going to win 11 games. I do feel like if you were to ask him, now, when it comes to non-conference games, if you don't see an SEC team on that schedule, do you believe that the preparation of the Big Ten should put you in a position to win every non-conference game you play? I think he would be like, ultimately, yes. There might be an exception to the rule if you played, I don't know, Clemson. But you know,
who's going to be pretty good.
I think he believes that the league that they're in is preparing them. But you're not going to hear, once they go into the league, you're going to hear him talk like Lou Holtz, like, again, about every opponent.
Yeah.
Because
but in the same vein, though, he's got to be able to know that, like, you know, Veet and Braswell are first-time defensive coordinators for Cincinnati, right? Like, you have to be able to go into a game like that thinking you should have some sort of an advantage with the experience you bring back. Things like that you're talking about. Yeah, I get it.
Yes, I mean, I think they should beat Cincinnati because I think they have a better football program than Cincinnati. But you will hear him when they get into the Big Ten. Michigan State's a monster, and Michigan's a monster, and, you know, and oh my God, Maryland. He will never diminish any of those teams in that league because he already knows how hard it is to win one Big Ten game. And I'm trying to tell people this too, like, guys, the Big Ten is way better. He's right about this. It's way better than the other leagues other than the SEC. And I think it's better than the SEC right now. I really do. And so, like, people just I think they have a hard time wrapping their brains around that because the Big Ten they grew up with was inferior to the Big Eight. But that is not the case now. Like, it's just, you got to go and watch all the games, and you got to go down before the game and watch all the rosters, and you're just like, holy crap.
At least at the top of the Big Eight. Certainly not at the bottom of the Big Eight was the Big Ten better.
Right. Not the bottom. But, like, the point being that, like, when Michigan State comes to town, I'll go down on the field and look at their roster. I always do this. Michigan State's huge. Huge. I mean, you'll be like, my God, everybody's big. And Colorado doesn't look like that. God bless Colorado and Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. Those guys are great players, and they're going to go in the top 10 of the draft. But Colorado doesn't have players like that across the board. And so, like, I'm just trying to prepare people for the test that the league is. Like, it's a test, and people better buckle up because this could be a hell of a team, and they could go 8-5, and it could be a heck of a good football team. That's how good this league is.
That's our guy, Sam McKewon, Omaha World Herald. Great stuff as always, Sam. We appreciate the time.
Take care.
Thanks, Sam.
That's Sam McKewon, Omaha World Herald. A lot to get into there. I've also, you know, sometimes I'll do a little Googling while we're talking to somebody because they make me think about something. You're talking about the serve and two masters thing, right? It's, hey, either recruit in-state guys because we like our in-state guys, or go win football games.
They don't have to be mutually
They don't.
exclusive either.
But one of them has to exist and the other one doesn't. Right? One of them has to exist and the other one's optional.
Yeah.
And if you're doing the one, the second one becomes even more optional. I've got a really good example of that for you. Coming up next on Hurrdat Sports Live.
I want to mine the state. I think there's good players in the state. Okay, but like, if a player's a really good player and doesn't quite fit us, and he's going to go somewhere else, I want him to go be happy. I care about football in the state. That's why we're open. Every practice is open to the high school coaches in the state. That's why our camps are not just select invitational camps. That's why we do youth camps. That's why we do free youth camps. That's why we go speak at clinics. That's why our coaches clinic had 500 people here just for us. We are going to pour into the state in football. But what I have found is, if you bring a player here from the state and they're not happy, the place that they love now becomes a miserable thing. So I have to be sure that they're good enough. And what's happening sometimes here is some of the other schools that aren't playing in the Big Ten, they're going to offer them as a sophomore. And everyone looks at me like, well, why haven't you offered them yet? It used to be you got offered as a senior, you know? And I like guys, if I'm not quite sure yet, don't I owe it to you to be sure before I offer you a scholarship? And now before I offer you a rev share deal? So I don't think there's anything wrong at the University of Nebraska that we carry ourselves like the top 20 teams in the program, in the country.
Aspirations can drive us. Sometimes a simple gesture is what fuels the pursuit of a dream. When it's time to make your dream a reality, we are here to help. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
Coach, just walking around Devaney, what kind of memories come to mind? You see the Jordan Larson jerseys.
Well, this is our Olympic deal, and you think about the last 4 Olympics, we've had 3 players from Nebraska out of the 12 that made the Olympic team, and I think there might be their World Championship, which they won for the first time as well. Pretty proud of that. People have no idea how hard it is to make the Olympic team. I mean, so many things have to go right, and to make those 12 players that get to represent the United States. So this is a very prideful display booth right here. These are the Honda Broderick Award winners. So this goes to the best volleyball player / student. And again, they've changed it now, but it used to be the Honda Broderick. This is the most prestigious. It's like winning the Heisman. This is the Heisman one right here. And then the other one up here is our some of our statistical wins we've had, like being the best blocking team in the country, best defensive team in the country. So those are, people really don't notice those. Those are the ones coaches notice.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. Really good stuff there from our friend Sam McKewon from the Omaha
There's
World Herald.
a lot in there.
There's a lot in there. So we were talking about this in-state recruiting thing, right? And Coach Rule brought it up. He said, hey, you can't serve 2 masters, right? The only thing that matters at Nebraska is winning games. And then you kind of deal with the rest of it. Now, if you can win games with in-state guys, then you'll be a god and a legend and everybody will love you forever. But you're not that far below that if you just win games with whoever. Like, let's be honest about it. You're not that much below legend status if you just win games at all, especially after what Nebraska's been through over the last however many years. But, so I got to thinking about it, and you're more well-versed on kind of this era of in-state guys than I am in terms of guys that you sort of played with in high school and against in terms of Division I talent. But, of course, being who I am, I went Miller North guy, right? Because that's what I'm familiar with. And I go, okay.
So the Seth Olsons, the Shedas, the Tarps.
Yeah, so all those guys. And
as in Tarpinian.
Who all ended up being really good football players at Iowa, by the way. And Iowa was better than Nebraska during that time period. But I went even further back because those guys, you did get pushed back on not getting them, right? Seth Olson was committed to Nebraska at one point. Solich got fired. He decommits. He ends up going to Iowa. Sheda, I don't think ever had a Nebraska offer, and neither did Tarpinian. But
okay. Because, I mean, the best
Mhm.
and clearly the most famous
Mhm.
was well before that.
Who's that?
Gale Sayers.
Sure. Yeah. Gale Sayers is a great example.
Good.
But there was one. Well, I mean, no, go ahead. Go ahead on Gale Sayers.
Well, he's a Hall of Famer.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, he was, when healthy, was one of the best players in all of
all time.
Of all time.
Just he's a GOAT when healthy.
So, I mean, clearly this wasn't like the first.
No, this is a thing that's existed forever.
Forever. I mean, even when I was coming out of high school and before that, I mean, guys were going to other schools, right?
Mhm.
I mean, Wyoming had stock. Like there were a lot of good players. I remember Paul Wallace, a guy that I wanted to be like at Northwest, going to Wyoming. I mean, Jay Novacek.
You want to know?
Went to Wyoming, and I'm pretty sure he had a pretty good NFL career, right? I mean,
You want to know why people don't think of Gale Sayers, though, besides the fact that it was a long time ago?
Why?
What was Nebraska's record, 1962,
They were
1963,
They was a losing program.
No, Nebraska wasn't.
Oh, I thought you meant Kansas.
No. What was Nebraska's record?
Were they playing 8 games?
They were playing 11.
In those 3 years, so I'm going 62 to 65.
62, 63, 64.
Nebraska won 28 games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
9-2, 10-1, 9-2.
How about that, Shane?
Pretty good.
Shane.
That's why nobody talks about Gale Sayers.
Spot on, right?
Yeah, you can do your arithmetic.
Do you know how good that was?
That was
what
really
I
good.
just did?
Yeah. I'm very impressed. Give me a little.
Thank you.
So that's why nobody.
we're
that's,
out here.
That's why nobody talks about Gale Sayers, because they were 9-2, 10-1, 9-2. You know another guy they don't talk about? The Miller North guy I was talking about? A guy that actually made an NFL roster? So he had
Yes.
pretty good?
I know who you're talking about.
Who?
Nick DeLuca.
Nope. Before him. Your era.
Ooh.
He gets forgotten about. Because the guy that came after him was a lot better.
Todd Doxson.
Todd Doxson didn't go to Nebraska. He went to Iowa State.
I just saw Dox, yeah.
He was a starter.
Yep.
At Iowa State.
Really good.
Made the Dolphins in 98.
We played against him.
That's a dude that went to Iowa State. Now, Iowa State wasn't very good at the time, but it's 93, 94, 95, 96. Guess why nobody cared that Todd Doxson didn't go to Nebraska?
Because we were playing for championships.
Because Nebraska was a wagon.
Yeah.
Right? That's a guy, talent-wise, probably could have played for Nebraska.
Oh, yeah.
He made an NFL roster.
That dude was legit.
He was on a bunch of practice squads. He played in AFL for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, that's a dude that was a good football player.
Mm-hmm.
He could have played for Nebraska. He probably would have won championships with Nebraska.
He was legit.
If we're being real. Like, if you, like, not taking anything away from T. Fraze or Scott Frost as a player or anything like that, but if you plug and play, you're probably not getting a huge drop-off to a guy that got paid to play football for a living as a quarterback. Like, that's a good quarterback. Nobody cares.
I'm not going to diminish. Frost he's an amazing high school athlete.
Yeah.
I mean, it's big, strong, fast. But, like, as a natural runner.
Dox was probably better.
Of the option?
Yeah.
I mean, Dox was the guy.
Yeah. And he was a pretty good passer.
Just the natural. He was so smooth as a ball handler.
Yeah.
And his play, Dox was nice.
That's my point, though, right? When Nebraska's winning, a Todd Doxson can go out of the state and go play against Nebraska, and it doesn't really matter. Gale Sayers is a great one. That's one of the best running backs in the history of football. He goes somewhere else, and guess what? Nebraska wins 28 games over the course of 3 years, so no one cares that Gale Sayers played somewhere else.
Yeah.
It never gets brought up. I've never heard.
You know what I think it is, though?
What's that?
I think. So Kobe brings up a point. I don't know if that's it or not.
Okay.
He talks about these guys not having Nebraska offers.
Some of the guys at Iowa State now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if that's it. But do you know what I do think it is?
What's that?
That you don't want those guys to go and be great someplace else.
Yes.
Until or if Nebraska isn't going to be doing what?
Unless Nebraska's winning.
Winning.
Because we saw it with, like,
I'll tell you. You want to know?
Harrison.
You want to know what Phil Snow said?
What's that?
Phil Snow said this about Darian Jones. Darian Jones is the guy that'll say yes to Iowa State
Mhm.
and lead the nation in interceptions, and we'll be mad.
Mhm.
Don't let that happen.
Yeah.
That's a thing.
No, it is 100% a thing.
And he probably picked the wrong Iowa school
Sure. And Darian did get his Nebraska offer.
because they're Iowa through and through.
Yeah,
in
it's a
that
big Iowa family. Yeah. Stunning that Donovan is here, actually.
It kind of
Like,
is.
right, I mean-
it is his dad. We've gone round and round about, but D-Rock, he was never really a hater. He just he's pro Hawkeye.
He was just an Iowa guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, rocks in the yard, the flags. I mean, he spends a fair amount of time. I mean, he would go with Cluster to like Iowa City. Like, I mean, he's an Iowa guy.
Yeah.
But he loves his kids more.
Sure.
So
Donovan's a Nebraska guy. He's a Nebraska guy.
Yeah,
right?
right.
Like, no, I get it.
So but like that's what you have to think about. Can this guy? Is this we have to think about this as a fan base. I think. Does this guy have the potential to come back and bite us in the rear end?
Mhm.
Sometimes I think you have to think like that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do you think it comes up?
So I do think it comes up, but
Or you think that's too linear?
it might be a little too linear. I do think it's something you have to consider. Like
That's the first thing I thought of when I thought of Bramer.
because I do think that's how
I'm like, Ben Bramer is sensational.
in the first couple classes, I do think he thought that way a little bit with some of his in-state offers.
Yeah.
With a hey, we're gonna offer this guy.
Oh, I know what you're gonna. Okay, I'll let you lay it out because you're gonna end up being right. I should take this back.
I think there's multiple guys. There's a couple guys in particular that I'm thinking about that they're like, hey, if we don't go hard after this guy, the perception of it, if they end up being good somewhere else, is going to kill us. And especially early on, you kind of have to get out in front of it to make sure people understand. And that's part of. I don't know if you always say he's kind of crazy like a fox sometimes. That's
he 100% is.
That's part of the making you feel like a Nebraska guy to Nebraskans is caring about the thing we produce. And with football, part of that's the in-state talent. So going and get some of those guys, even if you're like, hey, I don't know if they're a great fit, but we have to go get them because they're clearly power conference capable. And if we start off on this foot, it's going to be hard to recover from. And now that you've got sort of I don't want to call it a built-in excuse, but I will, with the 105 to say, we just don't have the roster spots to make some of those offers, it gives him an out if he doesn't think a guy's a good fit or if he doesn't necessarily see the natural place for
You know
them
what I
on the
thought you were
team.
going to say?
What's that?
Maybe he doesn't think like that because he's confident that they'll win.
So I think that's where he's at in general. I do think on the front end, he was very aware of the perception of needing that to be positive in the way he viewed the state and the state's talent.
Yeah,
I think somebody
he can't go back and get it.
Mhm.
But I've told you this, and I've listened to him talk to some people that I'm extremely close to.
Mhm.
Right, I know what the conversation was with he and DJ Rizak. Like I know, it was a couple of long phone conversations, a lot of mutual respect, and I tell you one thing. And Sam talked about it, and I think it's critical. And I would say this to guys in state. He never wants to be in the position where he has to rely on somebody else's information that he's inheriting.
Sure.
He does not ever want to have to go, and he won't here.
Yeah.
Go back to, okay, who's the list again? Who's on your guys' list?
But early
he had to.
because you're behind the 8 ball, you're trying to catch up.
He had to.
So maybe you get bad intel on a Teddy Rizak.
And he said to me,
or an Anthony Rizak if you're one of my guys.
This will never happen to me again.
Yeah, I remember you told me that.
Like it bugged him.
Teddy Rizak was a miss. That was a miss.
It bugged him.
Yeah.
And so.
And there's a difference, and I think to Kobe's point, there's a difference between, hey, Nebraska went full in and the guy chose somewhere else versus Nebraska missed their shot.
Yeah.
Like that is a difference.
And it's hard too because, I love Braylon Warren.
Mm-hmm.
I loved his dad first.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's my dude.
Yeah, you go way back with the family.
They still want to see Braylon throw at camp.
Yeah.
And
if that's not something they get to see, he's not going to get an offer.
It's just hard.
Like, it's pretty simple, right?
So I like the conviction and the steadfastness in one hand, but I also don't. I mean, I'm human, right? Sometimes it's just hard for me to separate, like, guys, and I want to work both sides, right?
Yeah, because obviously you're for the university, and you're for Coach Rule.
Yeah.
But you're also very much for
young people,
especially kids in this state getting good opportunities.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And that's one of the things that, as much as I, get and it's earned, but this reputation of, like, I don't really care about kids or whatever, I do want the best for them. I don't want to have to be responsible for it. But in a vacuum, I want, if for no other reason, I like Omaha and I like Nebraska and I like being from here. So I want us represented well. And one of the ways that happens is by guys going out and being successful.
And I don't know how else to say this, except for it's not a dog and pony. The camp thing isn't a dog and pony show,
which they have been in the past, right? That's part of the problem.
And they have to get over.
That's part of the problem.
We got to get over that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, it just has to happen organically. Like, I can't say
there's no magic switch that you can flip and say, "Hey,
we're no longer." But do you know
doing
what
this
I
nonsense.
think is? You know what I think is really, really paramount. I think this staff wants kids that want to be here. And how do you show that you want to be here?
Show up to camp.
That's part of the deal.
And it's a pretty easy.
And it's okay. It's okay. Like, if I'm Braylon Warren and I'm that talented, and
you don't feel like you have to, then that's fine. You probably won't end up at Nebraska.
I'm cheering for him, and I think he's okay with that.
Yeah, and if everybody's cool with it, that's fine.
And I think so. That's the thing.
Yeah, as long as everybody understands the situation, and are cool with it, it's okay.
So the Jet Tamala thing was rearing its ugly head. Oh, look at all these offers, and I'm like, guys, this isn't a Jet versus Dayton thing. It's this guy appears to really want to be here thing. And so that's where they're going to put their resources.
Yeah.
It's not that you're not valued. It's
because all else is equal, you're going to go with the guy that really wants to be at Nebraska.
And I do think one thing that sticks in this staff's craw a little bit is the pressure that I think some guys feel to have to perform if you stay here.
Like for in-state guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like for the Malachi Colemans of the world, right? You end up answering an inordinate amount of questions about Malachi that if it was any other out-of-state kid, you'd talk about development and it's a process.
Yeah.
And,
now, because he was fairly highly touted, you'd still get some of it. But not to the same degree.
And he played as a freshman.
He played super early.
Right?
Yeah. And he had some flashes.
But he was forced to play. Doesn't mean he was ready to play.
100%.
So when you play your first year and then you're a redshirt candidate your second year, and you're having to walk around that city, it comes with a fair amount of scrutiny.
You mean like Riley Van Poppel did?
Yeah.
But again, like easier for Riley Van Poppel in that situation not being from here.
I always bring him up because he was very open about it. But sit down and talk to Josh Banderas sometime about what it was like.
Super highly recruited guy.
Being in state and just having to answer to it every day. I told this to Caleb. It takes, and he has the worst last. Like he's got the double jinx.
Sure.
Right. He's got me as your knucklehead. Like you have to be able to endure that. And you have to be built to answer the questions of why, right? So his old man couldn't handle it, so he gets off the air. He's built for this, though.
Yeah. And he's going to make your life a lot easier if he's good.
I said that this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's true.
Let's not sugarcoat it, right? My job's a lot easier if he holds up his end of the deal.
Yeah.
He knows that, but that's not his burden to bear.
No, it's not.
So,
but you get that with a lot of in-state guys, even if they don't have a public-facing parent.
100%.
Yeah.
Right? If I'm Caprice Keith and I know, like, I mean, there's a lot of guys
It's way easy. Listen, I'm not saying these guys are taking the easy way out because I don't think that's the case, but it is an easier way to start at Iowa State. And I don't mean start in terms of starting on the field. I mean to start your career at Iowa State where you remove some of those external factors than it is in Lincoln.
Yeah.
It's just easier. And listen, there's something to be said for putting yourself in the best position to be successful.
Because ultimately that's what it is.
And sometimes removing those external factors helps you be successful.
I
think that's a real thing.
So the reason, and listen, Jet he didn't drill us. Jet was, I have a different amount of respect for Jet because of how he operated under duress against us than I do
other people,
almost anybody else. Because I've seen other people
wilt
and wet the bed.
Yeah.
Okay. He did not.
No, I like Jet a lot, actually.
But I hate the comparison of Jet and like Dayton, for instance, because do you think Dayton has to camp at Nebraska?
No.
But Dayton does camp at Nebraska.
At least twice that I'm aware of.
So, like, you have to start there. Like, who really wants to be here?
Yeah.
Because whether it's a bias or not, the closer you are to me and the less attention you pay to me,
the worse it is.
The worse it is.
Yeah, 100%.
Isn't that how people work?
Absolutely.
So the closer you are to Nebraska,
and the less
attention you pay to Nebraska,
absolutely.
Like, you don't think that matters to them?
It absolutely does.
But we never talk about that.
Not from the other way around.
We
talk about it for Nebraska, right?
It's a two-way street.
Like we talk about it with, especially previous staffs, not as much this one, but previous staffs. If they don't pay enough attention to an in-state guy, we get on them, right? We get so annoyed, and myself included. I'm not hating on that because there's been a lot of guys that I think Nebraska hasn't paid enough attention to in the past that I think should get attention. I did it with Anthony Rizak pretty publicly because I think that the kid's a really good football player that could help a power conference football team.
Yeah.
And so I was like, hey, you're not paying enough attention to this kid. You're not. I didn't think anybody was paying enough attention to that kid. He ends up at Notre Dame and is over there with his brother. But I sit here and I go, okay, if we are going to hold Nebraska to that standard, we also need to hold the athletes to that standard as well.
I mean, nobody's been good enough. And nobody's been good enough, in my opinion. I think I can say this. This is weird because my kid didn't camp. But I told him 15,000 times, hey, man, you might want to go camp. I'm good. Hey, man, you might want to go camp. Hey,
how much of that was a basketball thing, though, too?
All of it.
Yeah. So I think that's more understandable.
All of it.
If you're like
no.
Okay.
No, I'm just being honest. Like, I'm afforded the revisionist history to not tell the truth if I don't want to.
Yeah.
Because no one would know.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you the truth.
I appreciate that.
I want to kill him.
Sure.
I'm like, you play 55 tournaments. You can miss one.
Sure.
Right? When you're in Indianapolis for this huge tournament, I understand. You have an invite-only camp to Notre Dame. You don't think you should go? Or
because he didn't camp anywhere, right?
Stanford.
Okay.
Which was weird.
It's a weird pick.
And they offered.
Yeah.
Right? But it's like.
But that's the only place he camped?
Yes.
And his recruitment was a little different probably because of that. Because of the lack of camping.
I mean, yeah, but for whatever the reason, he just kept picking up offers.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, but I hope you can say yes. Right? Like, these are real conversations. Ravi, it was killing me. And so I'm not going to say nobody's good enough to where they don't have to, but you at least have to be like, hey, I'm interested. This is a place I want to be. Because the reverence, and this is where the secret sauce is, the reverence that those guys have about being there.
The coaching staff?
Yes.
Yeah.
You got to at least meet them halfway. because they want you to think as much of that place as they do, and because that's really the only way you're going to make it.
And that right there,
I'm just telling you, like, it's hard to hang in there.
Yeah.
If you ask these guys any sort of truism, these guys come back. Ask Donovan, RVP, ask Caleb and Marquise Buford. If you don't love being here and love what you do, it's next to impossible to function at a high level, because what you're asked to do on the day to day, you want to say to yourself, why can't you just do what you're asked? Just do it.
Just do what you're told.
You ain't committed enough.
So what you said about the coaching staff there is, as much as anything, if I really boil it down to what I love about Coach Rule, it's the fact that he is the first Nebraska coach in my life, maybe the first coach of any in-state sport in my life that thinks as much about the place as I do.
Yeah.
Coach Mack is probably close. I don't know him personally enough to say that. He's probably the only one that's even in the discussion, but Coach Rule is the one guy I can say for sure loves Nebraska as much as I do.
I'll give you one other for sure.
Who's that?
And it's just because I know him. Coach Cook.
Sure. Coach Cook.
Like, that dude
loves
Nebraska.
And that's a secret sauce.
And so, I don't know how to tell kids that, because you can't. One of the things I'm very afraid of, I even do this with my own kids. I can't tell you who to love. I can't tell you what to love. I can't make you. We've all been in relationships where you try to make somebody love you.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So you have to let it just happen. And if they don't, they don't. And if they do, you give yourself a chance. But I'm not going to be mad at you if a kid might say to me, I love Nebraska like that. That's cool.
Don't come here then, though.
Yeah. And I'm okay if they don't.
But
even though I think
I
think they could help.
Yeah. But if you don't love Nebraska like that, don't come here.
It's hard.
Because it's going to be too hard.
It's hard.
That's going to be too hard.
Again, go back and find that Kirby Smart interview. A guy that you said, you worded it nicely, had it figured out.
He did.
Right? He had mastered the first portion of that system.
And then the rules changed.
And my man is like, this is not, we can't even practice to Georgia standards.
Yeah.
I'm like,
maybe there's hope.
It's real.
That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. Matt DeMarinis coming up next year on Hurrdat Sports Live.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Live.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live, presented by Centrus Federal Credit Union. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We are joined now by our dear friend, Matt DeMarinis from the White and Blue Review. Matty D, what's up, bud?
What up, fellas?
Matty, how we feeling, man? Are we on the mend? You're a great texter, but I didn't know if that meant you felt better.
Oh, I would say on the mend is a good way to put it. I don't feel like death anymore, so that's.
I don't want to laugh, but so was that a 72-hour?
I told Ravi he could laugh. It's okay. I was laughing too.
So it was Friday, right?
Yeah.
So Friday he goes, "Hey, I talked to Matty. I still don't think he's quite right." And I was like, "Oh, poop! Like, really?" And he kind of gives me that concerned nod, and he only really cares about he and those people at his address. So for him to actually be concerned, I was a little taken aback.
I mean, I think maybe I wasn't trying to be over dramatic, but I do legitimately think we're kind of like in this phase of life where if we wake up, we just got to attack that day and do it again the next one. You know what I mean? Because unfortunately, we're at that stage where you can just drop. So
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's what got him worried a little bit, but no, I'm as good as you can be. So.
I think he was talking about my reference to the Lakers defensively.
I mean, that was They
I called it, and he
Luka,
laughed at me.
Luka came out doing his thing. It's like, oh, they look good. And Luka's being the 1A guy that he needs to be, so that LeBron can kind of be game one LeBron like he always is. And then I'd be able to steal it still. And then Minnesota was like, "Yeah, your defense is about to be shredded."
Yeah, they're just not good enough defensively. And I asked this clown sitting next to me, Matty. I said,
can't
"Hey,
match up."
I'm like, "Hey, can this guy, this really good player for the T-Pups, be the best player in the series?" And I know you heard this segment. He almost laughed at me. He's like,
"Yeah,
no." I'm like, how can he be? Have you seen the Lakers defensively?
I know. Yeah, there were matchup problems all over the floor. So as much as you're like, yeah, it's game one, but you're also like, it wasn't really a competitive game one from a matchup standpoint. Where are the answers for the Lakers? I'm curious to find out once they tip up game two. So because it looked like Minnesota's going to kind of have their way. But a lot of first round games were like that. Honestly, it was a little bit disappointing.
I mean, know. The NBA first rounds typically are
not
bad.
Great. Yeah, they're not great usually.
I know, but I think from a matchup standpoint, you wanted some of them to be.
Yeah,
like
Houston, Golden State, and Denver.
Golden State it got close, but it wasn't, and that that was weird.
That was some bad basketball.
It's not great.
Yeah,
I'll take it, but it's not great.
Is the series you're most excited about Denver and the Clippers?
It does have the potential to be the most competitive, I guess. The one I was most excited about was kind of Wolves Lakers, because I just wanted to see, kind of like what Luka could. I mean, Luka was so good last playoffs that I was kind of curious if he has been kind of building to that a little bit. And the rematch with Ant was kind of compelling to me, so that was one that was kind of at the top of my list. But that game was just so non-competitive that it kind of shifted to Golden State Houston because of. I mean, I think Golden State is the better team, but I think obviously they don't have home court advantage, so I think that's intriguing to me. But yeah, probably Golden State, Houston, and then Lakers, T-Wolves, and then Rockets, Clippers after that, or Clippers, Nuggets after that.
Matty, do you know how many games Saturday and Sunday were within 5 points?
Saturday and Sunday within 5 points?
Yeah, within 5 points. How many of the 8 games?
One, wasn't it?
Yep, just the one.
Yeah.
The Clippers Nuggets overtime. Yeah.
Although Miami hung in. Like
for a while.
I think they got 20 piece, but they hung in there. They were never. It didn't get wipeouty until the end. I think you know what I mean. They were always kind of in the fight.
I think the fourth quarter they got outscored by 14, lost by 21.
Yeah.
So that sounds about right.
They kept it like just under 10 for a lot of that game.
So I asked this, and not to steal all your time talking NBA, but I asked Matt, or I asked Ravi this maybe 2 weeks ago. This was on the heels of Minnesota, I think, coming back from down 24 to the Bucks, and I go, do you still find it troubling to take the NBA seriously sometimes when people can go on 20-0 runs? I did not think that I would see one of those in the playoffs. At what point did you feel bad for what was happening on Saturday in the Knicks game and in lieu of the 21-0 run and what Detroit was attempting to do?
Well, they just lost their composure completely. I don't feel bad when that happens because I feel like you're in control of that.
You feel like teams should be able to inbounds the ball in an NBA game?
Yeah, like inbound the ball, like run something decent for yourself. Like, I mean, it was
kind of like Duke versus Houston a little bit, like be able to inbound the basketball.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for sure.
You can't inbounds the ball in the NBA?
You give more grace to college players when that happens, though. But like, it was still kind of a game in the last minute. You know what I mean? They're still there, and I think they gave up a second chance bucket to Brunson, right at the 10.
Yep.
Then Cunningham comes down and just like chucks one up, like literally, like his feet aren't set, his shoulders aren't square. He just like hucks it. Like, what is that? Like that's you have a minute left and you're a couple possessions away. You need something good for a quick hitter, not just like a quick hitter. So he chucks that up. It's not even close. Then the Knicks run it down. Hart gets right to the rim again, scores again. It's like that's ball game. Like, dude, you guys got to be more under control in that situation. Otherwise, you're not going to have a chance to advance in the series. So like that's the part I didn't feel bad for the Pistons because there was a lot of self-inflicted components to the Knicks taking over that game all of a sudden.
Man, let me ask you, let me transition to a hoops question because as we've been talking about this in-state recruiting, and let's just take the last 8 years as the profile has been extremely elevated on the national level. Not taking anything away from anybody previous. I mean, Ron Kellogg was really good. In the last 8 years, do you feel it's more – gosh, I almost want to throw baseball into this too because baseball produces such fantastic collegiate talent.
It has for a really long time here.
But let's just keep it to basketball and football. You feel like it's easier to justify garnering in-state talent in hoops or football, given the success of each sport at the high school level the last 8 years?
First of all, I do think this is a really, really, really nuanced conversation.
That's why I asked you, because you're pretty smart.
Yeah, so like I think you guys all made really good points about what should matter in the pecking order of trying to make yourself the destination, whether it's locally or nationally, and how that tracks with being, competitive nationally as well. It's funny because just to tie it into Creighton, because I have more expertise in how they've been built. Like Jason Green, for example, like did not grow up a Creighton guy, even though Creighton was, I guess what you would consider relevant during his childhood.
Yeah.
Like it took so like that's what I mean. Like I think we're in an era where it doesn't matter how good you are and then where you are proximity wise. Like you still have to sell yourself on why that's a fit for that particular athlete because they know.
As the institution, you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay.
And it's because I think as players know now, especially as they have more agency over their careers, fit is really important. You know what I mean? It's not like recruiting has changed. The pie in the sky stuff isn't as effective as like, will I be happy here? Period. You know what I mean? Like it's not about. I don't think the recruiting wars are fought under the same parameters anymore as they used to be. So from a local standpoint, I think whether it's Nebraska football or Creighton basketball, make the main thing is kind of always like that's what the programs I think that are doing it the right way just continue to do, because whether it's Mac or Flan or Booth or Ed or Johnny or or anybody at Nebraska, whether Rule, all the points he's making about losing, kids to the Big 12 because they're not necessarily in on them early. Making the main thing is your selling point always first and foremost. So as long as you're doing the right things from a developmental standpoint, from a process standpoint, and then it translates into, the success when the spotlight clicks on, I think you'll always kind of have a footprint in your local habitat to attract good talent regardless. But that's the first part of it. You can't try to be this haven for local talent and say, like, under no circumstances can we let these kids leave if you're not even doing the main thing right, in my opinion.
So what's funny, Matt, is especially with Creighton, that might be the only program in state, Creighton men's basketball, that doesn't, at least to my recollection, that basically gets zero pushback when either they don't offer a guy or he doesn't come here. And it's, I think, for a couple reasons. Number one, what you said, the main thing's the main thing. They're winning, and they've been a winning program for a while. And two, I think their evals are so good and so trusted because they were the only ones in on like a Kyrie Thomas. They were the very first ones in on like a Justin Patton. They believe
Nebraska was in first. Creighton was just more patient
on Patton
with the academics.
Okay, fair.
Yeah.
But they've been
Nebraska didn't think they could get him eligible.
They've been either the first ones in, the only ones in, more they've endured longer on certain guys.
Yeah, they hung in there.
Their track record is so good, not only with the guys they do take, but also just overall as a program. We almost look at them like we did, and I get these are very different levels of excellence, but we almost look at them like we did 90s Huskers, where it's like, hey, if you don't take an in-state guy, there's a reason, right? And you kind of just get the, oh, it's going to be okay because we trust the pedigree and the track record of this particular program right now.
Happer had an amazing – I wanted to chime in, but I didn't. He was talking about somebody compared Creighton's their assessment on grabbing guys as a foregone conclusion, and he compared it to Iowa getting offensive linemen.
Yeah, that's a really good comparison.
And I was like, that would have been my first – that would have been my first get. Like, what is somebody, Iowa gets a guy out of the portal, right? You're like, oh, shoot, that guy's going to be a good offensive lineman.
Yeah, or they recruit D2 or never heard of him
because
or whatever
Iowa
else.
gets the. I would say Creighton is the closest thing to that in basketball where I think they automatically get the benefit of the doubt to the good or whether they don't offer a guy. Like,
well, I was looking at it from, not sorry to interrupt, but I was looking at it from the standpoint of just like maybe a couple of weeks ago. It's like, what are their misses? You know what I'm saying? Like, think about what you think of the last, just go 6-7 years or, to kind of make it an easy exercise or whatever. It's like, what are their misses? Like, think about the guys that even got out of the portal, like, especially at the guard and wing spot, like that kind of like where there's multiple responsibilities and there's like, it's kind of a tweener position, like, Damian Jefferson, massive hit. Denzel Mahoney, massive hit.
So I'll give you a couple that took. Now he took the longest. O'Connell took the longest. Who was my guy from the West Coast? Wing shooter.
West Coast.
You're not talking about Kobe Paris, are you?
Nope.
You're talking about out of high school, or
you're talking about high school or transfer?
Transfer. Was he at Cal? Who was
Ricky Krecklow.
Yes, Krecklow.
But he was good. That team was bad.
He was
he was good. That team sucked though.
Yep.
Yeah, Krecklow is exactly who I'm thinking of.
But yeah, he became he was a 1A on that team, a leader, a playmaker, like a big important piece in a one and done season. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's why Ravi, you feel the way you feel because you can't. Like the failure column isn't filled up right now. Like it's not a hit or miss proposition. It's more of a, Creighton thinks this guy's their dude. Okay. Like think about the conversation we were having last year at this point. Do you think Jemiah Neal was gonna
no
drop D-Wade numbers against Louisville at Rupp Arena in March?
No. Absolutely
you know what I'm
not.
saying?
No, Krabby Pants next to me was still mad about that signing.
I wasn't thrilled about it.
Like, yeah, he wasn't alone. I'm like, I got questions all summer. Like, what's the deal? So I'm like, well, I mean, What lesson are you? I mean, you guys like to learn the hard way with Mac, don't you? Like if he sees it, like maybe it's there, and let's let it like play out a little bit. So I think that's what Mac has kind of afforded himself now. It used to be people used to be far more critical of things up front, and now they're kind of like in Mac we trust mode because the track record's there. It's like, you know what I mean? Jemiah Neal was not an exciting splash of a transfer.
Neither was Damian Jefferson.
Exactly. That's my point. Is like go back in time as far back as your brain can recall.
So why are you picking guards and wings? You guys should be talking more about bigs, like
because he's done most of his bigs work out of high school.
But like you talk about can't miss.
Yeah, I think just if we're just talking about transfers though, most of the bigs have been out of high school.
Like that development has been crazy.
No, it's unreal. Yeah, it's been ridiculous.
So I get it's a high school football reference, but if Amarion Jackson wants to go to Iowa State and he thinks he's going to be, Jaden Higgins or Jalen Noel or one of these guys, like I don't have any problems with that until because I think he's really I'm a big AJ guy.
Yeah, you've been
I'm a big Amarion guy. And so it's like, how many games do you think Nebraska has to win? You don't have to give me a hard number, Matty, but if we want to trust Coach Rule's record on the right in-state guys versus not, like what's the consistency of winning do you think has to happen before we give him the benefit of the doubt? Or is it because it's football, you think it's always going to be tough to offset?
So I think because of the way the sport is shifting a little bit, I think for Rule to kind of earn what we've just got done talking about with Mac, I think it probably needs to be, at least once a recruiting cycle, especially because they still want to, make high school a priority and develop guys through the program and turn them into like kind of Huskers for life, if you will. I think it
sounds a lot like a school down the street, right?
Right. Yeah. I think as long as you're a playoff team once a recruiting cycle minimum, you're doing it the right way. And then from there, you're the world's your oyster. Like if you explode and all of a sudden turn into a perennial power, then obviously you've done a lot of things the right way, and the steam will pick up from there. But I think as long as once a recruiting cycle, you're a playoff team, not playoff caliber, a playoff team.
Gotcha.
As long as you're on the stage, I think you'll earn the trust of what you're building, and then the message speaks for itself at that point, whether it's locally or nationally.
A lot of our listeners don't know. Ravi and I reference it a ton because it caught me off guard the first couple of years. You come across as a very big Matt Rule fan. Why? Number one, because I've never really asked you, but you're very good at bringing up stuff from his press conference, or I like this energy, or I like what this is like. What drew you towards Coach Rule as kind of a quote unquote non-Nebraska guy?
I mean, I hope he doesn't mind me saying it. Like, but I obviously worked with Niatawa, quite a bit, and we're good friends now and everything. Even since he's left the beat, but like because he came from Nebraska, and we would always talk about kind of the differences in covering Creighton versus covering Nebraska, even though we cover high-profile sports at Creighton.
Yeah.
And it's just like he said, the toxicity level is just night and day. You know what I mean? Like you're constantly, you're almost like an on-call doctor with drama coming out of Lincoln, as opposed to like Creighton. You can just kind of wake up and approach your day with more of a plan in mind. And I think so I always looked at Nebraska from afar, like a place I never wanted to kind of cover. I didn't think the coaches were very genuine. I thought it was kind of a little bit Hollywoody, if you will. And then Rule comes in, and your sit down with him, I thought was very down to earth and genuine. I think there's a lot of components of that I've listened to that thing 3 times. I don't even know how long it is. It looks like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
There's just so much good stuff in there that resonates differently with me on different wavelengths, that I'm like, oh man, that's really good. He's so insightful. He's genuine. I think he tells the truth as he sees it, without being, Mr. Sales pitchy guy for Nebraska versus what we're capable of. I think he's very honest, day-to-day honest. And I think that's why when he says like things like, this is the team I've been waiting for, I know what Nebraska World is going to do to that quote. I know what they're going to do to that quote.
Don't get me started.
I know where they're going to go with that, but I know what he means.
Okay, so what do you think he meant, Maddie? We haven't even really talked about this.
I just think now he feels like he's around like-minded people more like-minded people. Like where day to day,
like
he doesn't have to like. He even said it in the quote. He's like, if you come to my practices, like I'm not like, rah this, cuss out that, like screaming at this. Like it's pretty. It's gonna seem pretty chill from the outside eye because we all know what we're doing. That's what he means by that. Like I have the dudes around me now who wake up every day and understand the plan. They don't have to it's not necessarily I have to be putting guys on a leash and walking them to this spot and walking them to that spot and things like that. Like that's what I think he means by that. I know what Nebraska World is going to do to that quote, especially when the games start. And I can see that quote recirculating, after a loss or two for sure. But I did not interpret it as like, oh yeah, here we go, 11, 12 wins, playoff, here we come. I interpreted it as, I think I finally have the dudes around me who think like I do, operate like I do, and it's a lot of fun to come to work every day.
Now, we even carved through it when he said, I like that. And that was referencing guys wanting the griminess of a practice. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's not much to really interpret about wins and losses there.
The Creighton class that just graduated with Flan. Do you know how many times they've almost gotten into fights in practice? I think it would shock people. It would. I think it really would. They were so competitive. It was like the coaches would laugh at them when they would Flan would just end a drill in a tie, and they would start cussing him out because they don't want the tie. Because it's. I've never been a part of it. But you know why they were special because the competitive switch doesn't exist. It's always on. The levers broke. They wake up every day in a killer mindset and want to make the most of every single day, whether it's practice or a game. That's when you're coaching those type of players and that type of team. DB, you do it. I imagine waking up every day is a lot easier and less stressful and more enjoyable, more fulfilling.
Yeah. It's a good point. I like the practicality of it too.
Matt, I do wonder, given at least average talent, is that the attribute you would take over everything else?
100%. I've seen it because I've seen it overcome
a lot
more talent. Yeah. Yeah. They made an Elite Eight with a team, they were a 10 seed. They had to go to Carver. They had to beat Caitlin. Then they went and beat the best team in the state of Iowa the next week in Greensboro. They made an Elite Eight off of just, off of a day-to-day desire to be better. And it just one day stacked on another day, and then the moment came and they were ready for it. And then, same with just every team that's made a run that I've covered with Creighton. It's they don't care what people think about them. They don't care if they don't get the glory. They're just going to show up and fight you. You know what I mean? That's because they have a competitive switch that's unmatched. You know what I mean? Even Creighton going out to State College this year. No one thought they were beating Texas. That's Texas. They're 6'4" across the net. Maddie Skinner has a howitzer of an arm. She just went into League One and tore the league apart. You know what I mean?
And then their start against Penn State, right? It's oh man.
Yeah, but
these guys are legit.
You watch them both warm up. You watch them come off the bus, and you're just oh man, there's pro athletes, over here. And Creighton just rips them apart. You know what I mean? That Texas match was not competitive. Jaya Johnson, redshirt freshman, is frustrating Maddie Skinner. Creighton's doing their thing. The Penn State match is a dogfight. But no one thought Creighton going out there was a pathway to the Final Four. But they pretty much made it one because the day-to-day switch doesn't have to be,
You don't have to find it.
You don't know who will be today. They already know that way before the season starts who they are. They're comfortable in their own skin, and then when the lights are on, they just do their thing. That's the way. Those are the most fun teams to cover for sure because you you don't have to wonder about what you're watching.
Hey, what do you want the Texans to do in the draft?
Get somebody who can give CJ 2.5 seconds to throw. I feel like that's a step in the right direction. I mean, because you put my mind a little bit at peace when you were talking about A gap pressure and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How frustrated I was with it, and you were like, "Well, it's more complicated than you think." You know, you got really into it. I'm just like, block the dude in front of you. I know there's a lot of stuff in your eyes, but like, can you deal with A to B first? That way the quarterback not. Like, I don't want him sitting down as soon as he touches the ball. Like, can we figure that out first, and then let the complexities of blitz packages.
So you would take that, and I get why, because it's O-line, but don't you want like a big time receiver?
I honestly, I think CJ can elevate a receiving core if he has time to make. Decisions.
Okay.
That's the way I feel right now. So no.
So
that's the most Matty answer ever.
Listen, I'm traumatized from a David Carr era too. Like, I know what happens when you don't give your quarterback time to process things, how bad it can get. So first and foremost, I want protection for the guy that's going to be making decisions. And then if it turns out that, like, you know, receivers aren't getting open is an issue, or guys aren't making plays downfield is an issue, then you can adjust them from there. But I think point one needs to be give CJ time to at least, you know, survey what's happening in front of them without running for his life.
Matty, we didn't get to we didn't get to Creighton baseball with you here, so we may have to bring you back again.
Call me
soon.
tomorrow. I'll be up.
Hey, we'll just break one off impromptu, right?
Yeah, I'll text you. I'll wake up alive tomorrow. I'll text you. I'll get on. I'll talk to baseball.
We'll just start cold calling you. Be like, hey, how about them Jays?
Sounds good.
All right, buddy.
We appreciate it as always.
Later, fellas.
My man's got range.
Oh yeah, Matty's great. We love Matty.
Because I've kind of picked up on my man really likes some Coach Rule.
Oh yeah, and he's not a Nebraska guy.
Clearly.
So that's it's nice to see that it transcends fandom.
Yeah. Just because of the core I like the fact that when he talks about like just the authenticity and honesty as he sees it, Coach Rule, because he does try to explain it.
Yeah. That was our guy, Matt DeMarinis, White and Blue Review. We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Live coming up next.
Coach, big kind of weekend for you guys, I guess. Winning the Metro title is always good. What does this do for your team and momentum going forward?
Oh, it just builds confidence in the team that they can compete against the really good teams in the Omaha area, and we showed this weekend that we belong in the top tier of teams, and they played really good baseball. Basically the whole season. They competed well, pitched well, defended, and they'll continue to hit. And you know, we're just looking to continue to get better each week.
Oklahoma State softball story is a story of growth and success. After getting to visit the team this fall and watching practice and talking with Coach G, I am confident in this team this year.
The best you is really dang good. I mean, it's really good. Okay? So just be that. No more, no less.
Lightning in my fingers, and I'm nice on my feet. Heavyweight big swinger, got you saying double while we're counting to three.
Mizuno and Oklahoma State softball are built for big moments.
Brace yourself.
Aspirations can drive us. Sometimes a simple gesture is what fuels the pursuit of a dream. When it's time to make your dream a reality, we are here to help. Centris Federal Credit Union. We are where you are.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Live.
I'm going to tell you how I feel right off the rip. You know, I'm not going to really wait. So I give you your flowers now. I'm not going to wait 20 years down the street, then to bring you back when you limping and could barely walk or some tragedy happens to recognize your greatness and what you contributed to this program. So I'm thankful that Rick, you know, shot his shot and moved on what we all know was inevitable in due time. You know, the time frame, nobody's going to be happy with it. Somebody's always going to have something to say, but the way we are right now, we're a now generation. You guys are now people, and this is a now time, and those guys deserve what they deserve right now.
Welcome back, Hurrdat Sports Live. That's DBM Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. That was one Deion Sanders talking about Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders getting their numbers retired. Can I
go ahead? Go ahead, my little grumble bug.
So can I,
Shane? I'm sending you another one that I want to see if it helps you a little.
Can I agree with the thing he said and still be pissed off at him?
You know what? Sure. I'm not going to tell you how to manage your anger.
Because here's the thing. He said something I very, very, very much agree with. Give people their flowers while they're still alive.
You've heard me say that, right? Especially with regards to men.
Yes, and I'm very much on board with that.
Right?
I try and do that with the people in my life.
Nobody loves us until we're dead.
I've tried to do that with you. Yeah. Like I'll reach out randomly and like I try and do that with the people I like. That's why I called Matty the other day to make sure he was okay. Like the people that
I wish he could have seen your concern. He may think of you differently as opposed to killing you on our group text.
Oh, I think the reason he killed, like he knows I love him. Yeah. Like Matty knows I love him. And
what about Jacob when he's busy annihilating you?
I love Jacob too.
I saw him walking and I honked. I figured he'd recognize my car, but he was so in a zone. Maybe
he probably had headphones in. Did he have earbuds in?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he was probably just kept pushing.
I stuck my hand out of the sunroof. I gave him one of the parade waves. I did. It was very weird. I put my hand back in. I'm like,
why'd I do that?
What? That's exactly what I said. What am I doing?
No, I love Jacob.
I know you think I'm crazy, but I just tell you the truth.
I love Jacob too, but he crushes me a little bit more. Feels a little bit more mean-spirited sometimes.
I think it's just his delivery.
It is. He's very dry.
Yeah.
He's very dry.
Sometimes I just want him to like work in a smile.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes I'm just like, JP, I need you to agree with me once every 6 months.
No.
I need a win.
No. He did agree with you on that being a Phoenix issue, though.
He did. Yeah, he did. He did agree with me on that. Sometimes he'll text me separately as well and be like,
You're not as big a Dean Blandino as I make you out to be?
No, he'll
Does
be
he
like,
tell you that?
No, he'll be like, I don't know what Damon was talking about here.
Oh, is that right?
Every now and then. Just every once in a while.
I'll go with never. I'm going to ask him, too. Hey, JP, what was I cray-cray about?
It's not a lot, but it happens sometimes. But no,
Well, how come he doesn't tell me?
I think
I want to be better.
I think he just likes to validate me sometimes, which I appreciate.
I don't believe a word of it.
I need it every
I
once
don't
in a
believe
while.
a word of it.
So I'm very pro giving people their flowers while they're alive. I'm very pro recognizing people for their greatness and letting them know. And I don't have a problem with any of that. Here's where I'm pissed off. He's avoiding the actual problem. The actual problem is Shedeur's not that guy. Travis is. He won a Heisman. There's 2 Heismans in the history of Colorado football. Go ahead and give Travis his flowers. I'm okay with that.
You just want him to say Shedeur's not good enough?
I just want him to not, he was so close. You ever have those conversations with people where they're so close to getting the point? They're just like really circling it, and then they end up with a conclusion over here, and you're like, how did we – last week when he goes, hey, we wouldn't be having this conversation if his last name was Sanders. It's like, you're so close, bud. You're so close. Because if his last name was Sanders, he wouldn't be getting his jersey retired. You're so close, buddy. You almost got it. Like we are.
You mean if his last name wasn't Sanders?
Yeah.
He wouldn't be, yeah.
He wouldn't be getting his jersey
He didn't
retired.
want his name to matter in one instance, but it absolutely
It's the only
matters.
reason it matters in the other instance, right? So it's like, bud, I get he's a nice football player. He's not even a best case scenario, 3rd best quarterback in Colorado history. Best case scenario. The other 2 guys don't have their numbers retired yet. So if you're talking about giving people their flowers while they're alive, start there.
So you're putting him behind Darian and Cordell.
Yes. Best case scenario, just because at least team success, right?
Yeah.
At the very least, if we're going to give people their flowers while they're alive, let's start there.
Is it different than being a top 15 pick in the NFL?
100%.
If he is.
100% different. There's a lot. There's a lot of guys that are better NFL prospects than they were in college.
I agree with you.
It's on every sport, right? And listen.
So Joel Steed should have his number retired on multiple instances because he was a great college player.
Yeah.
And a tremendous NFL football player.
100%.
Didn't have anything to do with the fact he was a Steeler.
But let's say because
Chad Brown.
Nebraska doesn't really retire numbers, right? They retire jerseys.
Yeah.
So let's say, for instance, Dylan Raiola has a really great career at Nebraska. And I hesitate to use his name because I don't want people to say, oh, Ravi says he's going to do this, this, and this. But he's the most high-profile guy. He's the closest thing we have to make a apples-to-apples comparison here. Let's say Dylan Raiola becomes an All-American or wins a Heisman or something like that, right? And you go, okay, we're going to retire this guy's number the minute he declares for the draft. I'd feel some kind of way if I'm Eric Crouch or Tommy Frazier or Mike Rozier or Johnny Rogers or pick a guy.
There's something most awards at Nebraska you're not even eligible for unless you hit certain tangible benchmarks.
Unless you are a first-team All-American or you want a position award or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, whatever it is.
It's kind of like the College Football Hall of Fame. There are hard and fast regulations. The reason Mike Leach isn't a Hall of Fame football coach, despite the fact that he's definitely a Hall of Fame football coach, there is these benchmarks that you have to meet. So if all of a sudden, let's say Dylan doesn't meet one of those benchmarks. Let's say he's a second-team All-American, and that's not the threshold, but they're like, we're going to make an exception. We're going to retire his jersey anyway. I'd feel some kind of way about that as well because you look at, okay, what did Tommy Frazier do for this program? And he doesn't deserve what Dylan Raiola gets. I'm lost his name. 83 quarterback.
Gill.
I don't know.
My man T. Jizzle.
Turner Gill. I wanted to say, I knew it was a TG. It was gone from my head for whatever reason. But let's say, Turner Gill or Mike Rozier or Johnny Rogers or Tommy Frazier or whoever. Pick any Eric Crouch. Pick any guy over the course of Nebraska's long and storied history. Is Dylan Raiola more deserving than that guy? Now, I get there's not as many of those guys in Colorado, but there's plenty. there's plenty that haven't gotten their flowers, that are still alive, that have done more for the program than Shedeur Sanders. So if that's going to be the argument, let's give people their flowers while they're alive.
Shane, play the second clip. Play the one I just sent you. Does this wording change your perspective at all?
That has not come to me yet.
What? What are you talking about?
I've been waiting for it.
Oh, it's what? All right, here we go. It's coming to you right now, Shane, because I sent it to the wrong person.
So you sent it to me.
I sent it to one Ravi ding dong face. No, I actually tolerate you.
Hey, you forgot Sue on that list. You could add him on there.
Sue was a great one. Yeah, and Ndamukong Suh. I mean, you can name a bunch of defensive guys, right? Like, I don't want to hold this to offensive guys. A bunch of defensive guys that would fall in that category.
Yeah.
Shane, go ahead.
Well, I'm getting the
You gotta give him a second.
I don't know. I don't know how any of this works.
Yes, young. That's something I would say.
And it's 100% true for both of us.
That is definitely something I would
Anytime
say.
something goes wrong with Sasha, no.
It isn't amazing how we can complain too, knowing good and well neither one of us could probably do what we're complaining about.
100%.
I love that about us.
Expert on
If you can't make fun of yourself,
It should be ready now.
all right, we'll play the goddamn thing then, buddy.
Try not to get in trouble with what I'm about to say. While we wait, man. What's that? While we wait.
What's that?
What we have wanted him to see, to be involved in it, to feel it, to feel the love, the respect, the appreciation while we wait. See, that's the kind of junk that you guys got to run with. Say something about that. You can't enjoy that right now.
I know it's been 2 years in the making. So.
Making?
Yeah.
Making? How we in the making? This is a new generation. Everything y'all want, you want it right now. And you go get it right now. You don't wait for that no more, do we? We want to go, we call Uber. We want to eat, what we call? Uber Eats? Everything we get is right now. We want something, we order it off Amazon. Right now. We ain't in no waiting generation no more. That's over. That's a wrap on that. Everybody in here is impatient. You download stuff right now, putting it out as I speak. So this ain't that no more, man. Let's stop. And I'm sad because I wanted him to see that. He can't see that. Same thing with Rashawn Salam, right? How long did we wait? I say we because I'm a part of CU now. How long did we wait?
23 years after his Heisman.
After his what?
After his Heisman?
Yeah. How many years after his death?
1. Less than 1.
So we got to die to get recognized.
Does that? It still speaks to your point, though. You want somebody to say, "Is Shedeur Sanders good enough?
Worthy?
As a Johnny Unitas Award winner?"
Yeah. Is he worthy? And here's the thing. If you want to,
Did you want him to be first or second team All-America?
That would help. But here's the other thing. Okay, if that's the justification, hey, I don't want people dying before we give them their flowers. I don't want them to be here in wheelchairs in order to be honored. I don't want some tragedy to have to happen like with Rashawn Salam in order for him to get what he deserves, right? If that's the justification, then this should have come out as a whole list of great Colorado players being honored as deserving of this distinction, right? It's not just like it falls on like that reasoning falls on deaf ears when it's just these two guys, mostly just the one guy, right? Because Travis is deserving. But if you're just doing these two guys only, then it's not about what you're talking about because let's be honest, if you're worried about people getting their flowers while they're alive, you should start with an older group. Like start with guys that played 30 years ago that you actually should be worried about. And I get anything can happen any day, so I don't have a problem with Travis Hunter getting what he deserves now. But if that's the real justification, and you really even want to put Shedeur in that group, because hey, one Johnny Unitas, that counts, good enough, national award. If that's the benchmark, okay. But then where's Westbrook? Where's Cordell Stewart? Where's Hagens? Like where's the rest of them that deserve their flowers before they're dead? That's my issue.
I understand what you're saying. And as we're talking, it's on the 4-letter network.
Yeah, Shedeur's on the 4-letter network.
Do you think somebody's gonna ask, was he good enough? Because
no, they're not going to.
Because I think that's what Daniel's missing here. And I get what Dee's trying to do, right? Provoke thought. And he said, does it change anything that they retired Johnny Rodgers' number immediately after his senior season. Being an first-team All-America and a Heisman Trophy Award winner was new precedent at that time for Nebraska. I don't think that them not being familiar with those accolades at that university before like that on the national level, they should be held accountable for the immediacy of retiring the number. It probably seemed appropriate at the time given his accomplishments.
Yeah, I think so. But the thing about these two guys.
But since then,
it's been
it's been amended in. So
it's not even retired anymore, right?
So no. The answer to that question is no. It doesn't change anything.
So that's my big issue is just, and this is sort of in a nutshell, my problem with Deion in general is there's little bits of truth and stuff that I agree with kind of littered throughout some of the things that he says. Because you'll send stuff to me and you'll be like, well, what about this? And what about this? And
that's not my voice, number one.
Fair. I'm not trying to do a voice.
I'm not trying to change your mind.
You're trying to provide me with more information.
Right.
Which I understand.
Right. Like I want to, because I want to be able to. Exactly.
Which I appreciate. And I get.
Yeah.
Because you want to make sure I don't miss anything and get back into a corner I don't want to be in.
Or
if I want to change my mind, you want to have me well equipped with the information to do so.
That's me.
But here's my problem, because I agree. There's a lot of things that I agree with that Deion says. The problem is, if you peel back even a couple layers, you're like, well, that doesn't totally check out, and the actions don't really follow what he's saying, and that's my problem.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Do you think anybody in our media would ask if somebody is good enough?
Probably not.
See, I don't think so.
Probably not.
And I don't know if that's good or bad. I'm
I
just
don't
telling you the reality of it.
And I don't even know if you should, right? I don't know if you should or not. I think because it's a really uncomfortable question to ask, especially when the guy's your dad.
Or maybe you say something to the effect of, hey, this quarterback and this quarterback, where do you rank the accolades? Or something.
There's a way to ask it to
probably.
not be a jerk, right?
Yeah.
You could be like, hey, we've talked a lot about
compared to some other
like
greats.
Hagens and Stewart, guys that brought a national championship to Colorado, guy that was a first-team All-American and had a couple of double-digit win seasons for Colorado with Cordell Stewart, kind of oversaw one of the highest points in program history. If Shedeur is deserving, then why haven't we had a conversation about these other guys yet either? That's probably a better way to ask it than me being a jerk and being like, Shedeur's not good enough. But there is
how's that go get?
Shedeur's not good enough. But there is a way to ask it that I think is a valid question. The problem is, again, because I don't believe at the core that Deion is really about what he's saying all the time, then you come up with issues. Because my question would be like, okay, if Shedeur's deserving, how come we're not giving these other guys their flowers while they're alive? That's the next logical question, right? And then you don't have to, because you can start from an assumption of, okay, let's say Shedeur is deserving. I don't think so. But if that's the baseline we're starting at, if that's where we're beginning, then this guy is deserving, and this guy's deserving, and this guy's deserving. And there's a laundry list then of great Colorado players from when the program was successful and was successful at a much higher level than it currently is, by the way. Maybe they're going that direction again. I don't know.
If they would have gone back at the same time and sugarcoated it, like as in gone back and got those retired numbers, would this be more acceptable?
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem. Like if the whole
Joel Steed was 3-time All Big 8.
Yeah.
A 1-time All America.
Yeah.
And a Super Bowl champ.
Probably a guy that deserves to have his number retired.
Not Super Bowl. He's been to the Pro Bowl.
Like there's a list of guys.
And he won a national championship.
Which is a pretty big deal. Especially a place like Colorado where that wasn't.
I just think it's interesting. But I do get it had to start somewhere. Like, how do you only have 4? How do you only have 4 guys in your history?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I understand wanting to be the agent for change.
Sure. But then be a real agent for change, because this looks self-serving. That's my like at the core, that is my big issue with Deion. Is that
do you think he can separate Travis's accomplishments without Shedeur?
I think he can, but I think it's because he feels a responsibility over Travis as well because they've been connected for so long. I think he looks at Travis as one of his kids. I really do.
Yeah.
And so I think he likes him better than Shiloh sometimes. But I think he views Travis as a Sanders kid. And so that's why it feels self-serving, right? It feels self-serving to me because if this was truly about what he says it's about, giving people their flowers while they're still alive, giving deserving people recognition while they're still alive, because you're right and he's right. We don't do it often enough, and we wait till people are dead, and then it doesn't matter to them. It's too late. Don't do that. Don't be that guy.
Should you have to win a conference championship? I don't know what
what the benchmark is.
So that's the if we knew that, and I'm not going to give him too much credit, but I mean, I remember when we would have these debates about things, just in general, right? Not necessarily you and I.
Yeah.
And guys like Danny would say, "Hey, make sure you guys are arguing the same thing."
The royal we.
Yeah. Make sure you guys are arguing the same
100%.
thing from the same frame of reference. So, do you want there to have been criteria?
So here's the thing. If, let's say, Shedeur is the benchmark. Let's say he gets in, right? I'm not even going to pull that back. Then you have to look at anybody who's been more successful than Shedeur and also retire their number. Like, if that's the benchmark we're going with, if Shedeur is, hey, I'm not even going to.
Yeah, but you can't retire. I mean, you can't retire like Bobby Pesavento.
Okay, so here, I don't even know who that is, if I'm being totally honest with you. Like, that's a pull that I don't have. Like
that's in your Arab wheelhouse too.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But like that's just it's not in the Rolodex.
Okay.
For whatever reason.
I give that as a guy. I think I use a guy like that because the detraction from Shedeur Sanders, people will say he's 13-11. So let's start with the bare minimum of winning a conference championship.
Yeah. So
start with the guy that quarterbacked those teams.
Sure.
Like, does that help? Does that help you? Does that help the discussion?
Yeah. But I don't want to be, because I don't feel qualified in Colorado football history enough to say this is what their benchmark should be. So I'll go backwards. If we're saying the benchmark is Shedeur, and then we say, well, you can't put this guy in because he clearly wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
Then Shedeur probably shouldn't be the benchmark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I have to work backwards from what they're telling me the benchmark is and then go, okay, well, if we don't like the names that get included from – that's sort of my issue with, like, the NBA Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Where we go, like, well, that guy's in, so this guy has to get in. Well, it's like, okay, well, maybe I don't like the premise at that point. And if the premise is Shedeur is the benchmark and then we don't like what that means down the road, then maybe we need a better benchmark. Maybe that is having won a conference title. Maybe that is being first team all conference. Maybe that is being at least a second team All-American. Maybe it is winning a national award, in which case Shedeur would qualify with the Johnny Unitas, right? So whatever the benchmark we think it should be, you kind of have to – they do this, do you remember when they came out with PER in the NBA?
Yeah, I didn't like it at first. And I still don't really love it, but yeah.
So one of the things – and this is not a pro or con for PER, but one of the things, because I read an in-depth article on – because I think John Hollinger developed it. One of the things I read an in-depth article about it, one of the things they do when they're coming up with a new metric like that is they look at the list of people who would qualify as excellent under that metric. And if the list doesn't make sense, it's not a good metric. So if the list of people that get in based on the Shedeur Sanders standard doesn't make sense, then that's not a good benchmark. So then we need to find a different one, which I'm okay with, but that's not what's happening here. What's happening here is Deion is elevating the guys that he has a vested interest in, and he's using this cover of let's give men their flowers before they die. It's like, okay, give them all their flowers then. That's the only thing I ask. If you're gonna die on that hill, then go ahead and do it to everyone that's deserving. Is that too much to ask?
No. I'm still surprised you didn't catch the Bobby Pesavento.
Yeah, for whatever reason, there was no bells ringing.
Did you watch the 2001 game?
Oh,
or you
yeah.
just remember Brown and
I remember Chris Brown.
And Purify just running hand?
Yes.
Yeah. I watched that game.
What was it, like that trap play they ran over and over and over again?
Yeah, it was counter.
Counter, yeah.
It was
just over and over and over. Yeah. I have it burned in my mind.
That's why I have his name burned in my mind.
Yeah. Honestly,
I was with Noddle in his basement.
Yeah.
One of the biggest Nebraska fans I know. We almost went.
Yeah.
Because it was over the holiday. And
yeah, I remember that team. 10-2. They made an argument that they should have made it into the BCS.
I don't
game.
remember what he threw for. It was well over, maybe not well over. He threw for 2+.
Yeah.
Do you know how many completions he had?
Probably like 14.
Guess again.
Lower?
Yes.
9.
Correct.
So he's doing like 20 of 20.
And I may be off. It was like 9. I'm like, you're going to let this guy throw for 20-some per?
I mean, that's about what they were letting Chris Brown run for.
And it was cold out, and he had this little walkout in his basement. I was like, I got to get some fresh air. I'm dead dog serious. And I think they got him. Did he come from He might have been fresh out of Fort Scott. I'm telling you.
I'd have to look it up.
Forever burned.
Yeah. Yeah, the one that's burned in my memory on that one's Chris Brown.
Yeah, that one hurt.
Just counter. I got Melvin Gordon fly. I got Melvin Gordon.
When you get to
PTSD.
a game and you say, ooh, they're within 14, they got a chance. You know it's bad.
And then Chris Brown ripped off like another 60-yarder.
Hey, I remember.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I was
well aware.
You're more well aware than I am. I couldn't remember the quarterback's name.
I try not to talk about it. Be honest.
That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. It's Hurrdat Sports Live. We'll be back tomorrow.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.